Yesterday, I was reminding a few of my CEOs that it's very different, but similar to the pandemic, in that my marching orders to all of them, and any one of you that has ever dealt with a tragedy in your marketplace, my friends in Southwest Florida dealing with the hurricanes last year, we go through these moments in time, and it is an opportunity for all of us to really reveal who we are. I said to multiple CEOs yesterday, my most important advice to you would be to have an emergency Zoom meeting with all of your agents and request, just like we did during the pandemic, for them to call every single past client, sphere, friend, old lead, anyone they know, and with a lot of compassion and a lot of empathy, call and say, are you okay? Are you okay? And then just shut up and let people talk, right? Are you okay? And then secondarily, can we help? And many of you who've been in my ecosystem for a long time, if you were with me during the pandemic, you remember, in early April of 2020, when I said the same thing to all of you, and the stories that I got back throughout, that first, several months of the pandemic of, God bless you, people like you that would reach out to a past client, this 80-year-old woman who's inside her home and can't get to her medication because she's told she can't leave the house, and that you would go and drive and go get the medication and bring it to her. These stories that I kept hearing over and over, and I know my friend David Childers is watching right now because he was such a big part of that. It was so inspiring. It had nothing to do with listing and selling real estate. It had everything to do with just being a good human. So last night, I reached out to the CEO of the California Association of Realtors, Phil Hawkins, and I said to him, how much money have you guys raised so far? And he was like, $525,000. So I'm donating today $50,000 to the Realtor Relief Fund with the hope, and I'm doing this because this is just who I am and this is what I feel is the right thing to do. My hope is that if you feel it's the right thing for you to donate $1 or $5 or $10 sometime throughout the session today, I'll ask Brandon to post the link, and any little ounce that you donate will make a difference for a fellow real estate agent. So I don't know, I think you can hear in my tone, it's a disaster right now. It is really intense. And there's a lot of people that are gonna be displaced and continue to be displaced for a long time. And listen, all my friends in Southwest Florida, you and I both know, anybody that's dealt with hurricanes or fires or tragedy, we will rebuild, and those people will get back on their feet. And you and I, we will be a part of that experience. So I hope you find it in your heart and in your head to, donate $1, donate something. I'm putting up 50 grand just to say, hey, anything I can do to help, let me know. So, all right, with that said, sorry, you can hear the sort of emotion in my tone. I want to do a very quick little poll, and then I'm going to walk you through a bunch of stuff, and then we have such an amazing day today. I've got David Childers. He's going to talk to you about the market, the most important things that your clients are going to be asking you about, like how's the market and what's going to happen with this and what's going to happen with that. And you and I both know knowledge brokers rule the world. Those of us that can speak with authority and confidence can take that person with uncertainty and help them make a good decision. We're not going to convince somebody to move that doesn't want to move, but by giving them the data and trusting that they will make good decisions, that's what we're going to do, and David's here to deliver that. I've got the incredible coach Janet Miller coming in from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. She's the queen of saving us time. She's going to talk about the time hacks, and I don't know about you, but the one thing I need more than anything else in 2025 is more time. So Janet's going to be insanely great. I've got Jimmy Mackin who's going to talk to us about 3 to 4 different campaigns that we know are working right now that will generate you listings. And I've got a whole challenge around that I want to talk to you about. But you're going to love the conversation with Jimmy. I've got Coach Christy from Arizona who's absolutely bananas. She's been traveling with me on the road, and she's going to reveal if Jimmy's going to get you the listing appointments, which he's going to do, and David's going to help you with the data so you can educate people and make good decisions. Christy's going to talk to you about, and you're going to be doing this the entire time, screenshot, because she's going to show you, she's going to reveal what are the best agents in our ecosystem doing on their appointments to win the business. So you're going to be R&Ding. If you're new to me, R&D is rip off and duplicate. Cut their head off, put your head on, and go. And then I've got Shannon Gillette, who's got just another rock star from Arizona. If you don't follow Shannon Gillette on Instagram, you should. Shannon's got a $100 million sales business, and just recently, her and I and my wife and about 29 other rock stars were at a mastermind in Dallas, and Shannon was sitting there petting my dog, and my wife was hanging out with her, and then I walked over and, was just kind of hanging out, petting the dog and just having a conversation with this just, love bug rock star real estate agent, and I was just watching her phone go zzz, 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 zzz. And I'm like, is all that because of Instagram? She's like, yes. She's created so much inbound business from her Instagram. So I asked her, hey, would you take a couple minutes and just reveal to you some of her best strategies so you can do what is right for you to generate the same. So why are we here? We're here to accelerate your business. We're here to close the gap. We're here to accelerate your business, and we're here to close the gap. So Brandon, do you have my slides? Cool. I'm gonna walk you through some slides, and I hope that you will just sort of listen and play along with me, because I'm going to show you some stuff that I know will be meaningful. By the way, that's my lovely family. I put them on every one of my presentations just as a reminder of that's why I do what I do. So why are we here? We're here to accelerate your business and to close the gap between where you are today and ultimately where you want to be. So play along with me. Don't put it in the comments of the chats. I don't need to see it there. But will you write down for me right now, what is your income goal for what did you earn in 2024? Write that down. What did you earn in 2024? What did you earn in 2024? And I want to encourage all of you to stay off the chat and just allow me to coach for just a minute here. Allow me to talk one-on-one with you. So stay off the chat, stay focused with me. What did you earn in 2024? Write down that number. Don't put it in the chat. I don't need to see it. Just write it down. And then number two, I want to know, what is your goal for 2025? What's your goal for 2025? So I care what you earned last year, but not in the context of what your goal is. I want to know, what are you committed to this year? What are you committed to this year? And again, for all my friends that keep putting it in the chat, I might just tell them, just turn the chat off. Just turn it off for a sec, so that's the easier way to get people to stop chatting. All right, so he's going to turn that off. And then here's the big one. You ready? So you have what you earned last year. You have your goal for this year. But if you're really paying attention to me right now, I want you to answer this. What do you believe your potential is? What do you believe your potential earning is? What do you believe your potential earning is? So you should have two numbers, and now you should be thinking about a really big number. When I think about my potential is so much greater than the way I currently operate. My potential is me at my best. If I was fully optimized, if I was running the plays that I know work every single day, and I was doing it with inspired action every single day, that's my potential. So you've got what you earned last year, and you've got your goal for this year. But I really want you to think about your potential. Like, if you are spiritual in any way, shape, or form, and I consider myself a very spiritual individual, if you believe that when you showed up on this planet, God in her, or whatever you believe, him, whatever you believe, in their infinite wisdom, do you believe that they said, you're a child of mine, now go be an average real estate agent and make a few shekels? Or do you believe that you are a special person, gifted with a lot of special qualities? And what we need to do is we need to accelerate those qualities, and we need to close the gap on the nonsense you're doing that is stopping you from earning the money that you deserve. That's your potential. But now, with that said, it's all about, when you start the new year, the reminder of the power of belief. Now, as you think about the power of belief, there's so much to unpack inside that. But I actually want to tell you a story that you could Google sometime today. Don't Google it now, just listen to me. There was a guy named Mel Fisher. Mel Fisher, write down that name. In 1969, Mel Fisher heard about a Spanish galleon that in 1622 went down somewhere along the eastern seaboard of Florida. And he was inspired by this because he heard about diamonds and precious, jewels and gold and silver. He was so inspired that he made the decision to make it a goal that he was going to go out and find this Spanish galleon and all the treasure. So he rallies the troops, he creates his plan, and he gets to work. And he goes out. Now, if you know anything about the state of Florida, there's like 1,420 miles of oceanfront. So I don't know what the entire East Coast would be. I'm guessing it's probably at least 40% of that because of the Florida Panhandle. So it's a lot of oceanfront. So after 1 year, he hadn't achieved anything. He had put in the work, he had done the effort, but achieved no result. How many people do you think would have quit after 1 year? Not Mel. Mel had three beliefs that kept him moving forward. After 2 years, how many people do you think would have quit? After 3 years, I'm sure people on his crew started to quit. And after 3 years, he started a mantra that he would say every single day. Today is the day. Today is the day. And then they would go out and they would dive and they'd find nothing. And he would do it over and over and over and over. 4 years, 5 years, 6 years. And guess what, my friends? 16 years later, 1969 to 1985, Mel Fisher and his crew, 30 miles west of Key West, Florida, found the ship. And they found $430 million worth of gold, silver, and jewels. Think about that. 16 years. 16 years of nothing. And then one day, one dive. Today's the day. $430 million. Now, 3 beliefs he had to have. You should write these down. If you're taking notes, and I hope you are, I believe these 3 beliefs have the same intensity and need and desire that for you to achieve your goal, for you to achieve your potential, that Mel had to have in place to persevere for 16 years, to be able to say over and over again, today's the day, today's the day, today's the day. Here's the 3 beliefs. Number 1, he believed that it was there. He believed that it was there. Do you believe that the income that you just wrote down, the potential income, do you believe it's there? Do you believe that someone in the marketplace is going to earn that money? Of course you do. But do you believe it? Do you believe that it's there? Number 2, he had to believe that he was capable. He had to believe that he was capable, that he could find it, that he could scour the floors. I mean, imagine the tens of thousands of miles that this guy had to cover. He had to believe it was there. He had to believe that he was capable. Do you believe that that income is available to you? Do you believe that you are capable to do it? But the most important belief was the 3rd belief. And the 3rd belief, my friend, and I'm telling you, it is the most important belief, is that he had to believe that it would be worthwhile. He had to believe that it would be worth the effort, doing the thing, making the calls, following up, being relentless, requiring a different version of you. You know what I'm talking about. Think about those 3 beliefs. And you should be very honest with yourself right now about where do you stand today in relationship to those 3 beliefs. If there was a imaginary scale from 1 to 10, and 10 is absolutely 1,000%, you will do whatever it takes every single day. You know that money is available. You know, 2, you can make it happen. And 3, you know that it is worth the new effort required. And you will do it every single day because today's the day. You with me? That's the mindset we need to go into in my mind. 16 years. So here's the question. Can 2025 be one of your best years ever? Can 2025 be one of your best years ever? Now, I hope you're like with me right now and you're like, yes, Tom, yes. 2025 can absolutely be one of my best years ever. I've had 16 private sessions so far this year, and every single person, when I said, can 2025 be your best year ever? They're like, yes, of course it can. What am I going to do? Set an intention for it not to be? And then I said, well, if that's the case, what is your most important business result? And I know it says goal, but notice I changed the word to result. And I want you to write it down. What is the most important business result you want to produce in 2025? Now, notice I didn't say what action do you want to take? I said, what result do you want to produce? Do you want to sell 15 houses, or do you want to net $50,000 after taxes, after all your expenses, and put that 50 grand in the bank? Do you want to make $500,000, or do you want to save $150,000 after taxes? What is the most important result you want to produce in 2025? What is the most important result you want to produce in 2025? We need to go into this year. I know it's January 9th. We need to go into this year with that singular focus. There's going to be 100 things that we have to do, activities and campaigns and marketing and improving myself and keeping myself in the game. But we need to be clear on the mission. I personally would prefer you to write down how much money you want to save after taxes and all your expenses, money in the bank. To me, that is the most important result. I look for all my clients. How much money do you want to put? Oh, Tom, I'm not money motivated. Ship and send it to me, and I'll send it to the fire relief fund. You with me? Don't tell me that money doesn't motivate you. Money is just a tool. Money allows me to go spend time with my kids, to say, yes, let's go on that vacation, to make donations, to give back. Money is just a tool. So don't make it mean anything more than that. But trust me, if you think that, oh, money is hard, try working and living without it. You with me? Yes. Tom Ferry's a little intense today because I'm committed to you having a breakthrough in 2025. Now, the next question is, what is your most important leading indicators of success? What are your most important leading indicators of success? Now, we're going to talk about it throughout the day. But I know right now with like nearly 4,000 of you out there watching, and I'm sure lots of you are with teams and groups together, you and I both know there are certain patterns that when you run the right play, when you follow the right pattern, you know what I'm talking about. Like all the ladies out there, like this morning when you got ready, did you put your pants on, then your underwear? Did you put your shoes on, then your pants? No, you follow a pattern, right? Like my wife and I are talking about this morning. I'm like, honey, do you put your makeup on, then take a shower? She's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, no, you run a pattern. You take a shower, then you blow dry your hair, then you put your makeup on, then you get dressed, and then you go charge into the day. She's like, well, of course. Like, why else would you do it? I'm like, baby, here's the thing. The vast majority of people don't understand. We are pattern-making machines. And the challenge that many of us have is we have a new goal and a new set of intentions, but we might be running the same old pattern that is only going to produce the same old results. So I want to be very clear. The greats, and I know a lot of the greats, friends, clients, people that have retired from this business, right, and retired with style, right? The greats all understand and they stay in the pattern. And the pattern is right there, my friends. This is the only pattern that I know with absolute certainty will help you achieve your best goals, your most important financial goals. It is get appointments, go on appointments, sign contracts, repeat. Get appointments, go on appointments, sign contracts, repeat. Now, I know you're gonna say, but Tom, oh my God, help me get more appointments. Well, I have Jimmy here. He's gonna talk to you about marketing. I have, all these amazing people that are gonna talk to you about this stuff. But I want you to be clear, when you look at that, that's the work. Do you believe that the money is there for you? Do you believe that there will be enough transactions in the market for you to achieve the results you want to achieve? I know the answer is yes. Do you believe that you're capable of it? Do you believe you're capable of helping that many people buy and sell real estate or achieve success, do loans, do title orders, whatever it may be, achieve the results? Do you believe you're capable of it? If the answer is yes, here is the work. Do you believe that it would be worthwhile for you to put your concentration on the one pattern that all the greats understand? Show me the last contract you got without first getting an appointment. Show me the last contract you got without first going on a presentation. The bottom line, my friend, is whether it's over the phone or via text or via Zoom, it doesn't make a difference. That is the play that all the greats understand. Buyer appointment, seller appointment, doesn't make a difference. Get appointments, go on appointments, sign contracts, repeat. That's it. Always and forever. Do you believe? But here's the thing. It's January 9th and the average person's already quit. I'm not saying you. I'm saying there's a lot of quiet quitters in your office. Quiet quitters is a funny thing we all heard about, right, during the pandemic. But if you know and you study the science of goal setting and goal achievement, what we know is within 2 to 3 weeks, the average person sets an intention. I'm going to go to the gym every day. I'm going to lose 10 pounds, and then they don't. And they quiet quit on their goals. How many people do you know that get up and they scream from the rooftops, this is what I'm committed to this year, and then they quiet quit and don't tell anybody that they stopped doing the work? This is the work. This is the work, always and forever. If you're in sales, this is the work. I don't care what you sell, that's the work. You sell wine, you sell books, you sell cameras, you sell TV monitors, this is the work. Get appointments, go on appointments, sign contracts, repeat, over and over and over and over, and the average person quits. And what do we also know? If you're sitting right now and your pipeline is empty, you all know what you're doing. You're like, hey, I got to get that stuff from Jimmy. I got to start sending emails. I got to start sending texts. I got to start making phone calls. I got to be ready because that's the only way you're going to drive your revenue up. But what do we also know? If right now you're a fat cat, God bless you. I love you because you're one of my clients and you were doing the work in October. You were doing 100K in October, November, December, and you're like, I have this huge pipeline. Bill Butler, if you're watching right now, Bill, I challenged him when we're chatting, and I'm like, dude, you need like 10 listings. Like, let's go. And he's at like 8 right now, right? And he's going to crush that goal. He's going to be well over the 10 that he needs to be at in the next 2 weeks. But here's the thing. If Bill is a fat cat with all these active listings and all these deals in his pipeline, goes into only service mode and he stops doing the work, yeah, he might have a great January, February. What happens in March, April, May? You all know the vicious cycle, my friends. If you're thinking right now that 2025 is going to be different and that 2025 is going to be your best year ever, and you can go into it with the vicious cycle saying, I'm going to be rich, poor, rich, poor, rich, poor, rich, poor, rich, poor, and that's how you're going to get there? For things to change, my friend, things have to change. For things to change, you got to change. The greats know it's going to be hard. The greats know it's going to be hard. The greats believe that the effort is worth it, that the juice is worth the squeeze, that becoming more disciplined, making your phone calls, calling your past clients, sending the texts, doing the emails, that's what is going to get me there. And the greats know it's going to be hard, and they do it anyway. And they don't complain about it. They just do it because they know, like, today's the day. That guy did that for 16 years. Today's the day. And you go, well, God, it took him 16 years. Yeah, and then he found $430 million worth of treasure. Divide that over 16 years. I think it's like $26 million a year. And we're talking about 1985 values of gold and diamonds and silver. So the thing I want to say to you before I turn it over to David in a minute is I believe your goal, and I know with absolute certainty, your possibility is going to require a different version of yourself. It's going to require a different version of yourself, a more focused, a more disciplined, a more maniacal version of yourself. I didn't say a lack of joy and happiness. My goodness, I'm booming with joy and happiness, though I'm saddened right now in my heart about what's happening in Los Angeles. But a more maniacal version of myself is going to be required for me to go out and achieve my potential. And you know what? It's going to be hard. And I accept that. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. Hard makes you tough, makes you better, makes you stronger, so you can persevere in the times when it actually is hard. Making phone calls isn't hard. Following up isn't hard. Being prioritized isn't hard. Scheduling isn't hard. Not in comparison to having a loved one say, I have cancer. Or in this case, how many thousands of people have lost their home, lost everything. That's hard. Making your phone calls is easy in comparison. Connect the dots on that. What is the different version of you that's going to be required? So I'm going to tell you in advance. We're going to talk about it throughout the day. I want you to join us in a 16-week challenge from today until April 24th. From today until April 24th, I want you to commit. I want you to commit to follow a program of get appointments, go on appointments, get signed contracts, repeat at whatever level you desire for your goals. Whatever level you desire. But if every day you were like, today's the day, I'm going to get an appointment, I'm going to go on an appointment, I'm going to get a signed contract, and I'm going to repeat it again tomorrow. Today's the day, today's the day, today's the day. Why the 16 weeks? Mel Fisher searched the ocean floor for 16 years. All I'm asking you to do is like find listings and help clients for the next 16 weeks, but do it in a more maniacal way, in a more focused way. You with me on this? All right. So open up the chat just for a second. Actually, Brandon, will you ask the poll real fast? Everybody take a second, if you would, please, and just answer. I've got just a quick poll. Take like 30 seconds, and then let's bring David up. Take a second and just answer that for me, if you would, please. Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. All right. Thank you all for just answering that. Everybody take the time. We got about 4,000 plus people out there. Take a second and do that. David Childers, I was talking about Los Angeles. I was talking about what people need to be doing right now. We need to be a voice of reason. We need to be helpful. I think that applies to every single person listening. And certainly everyone knows like what you and I did during the pandemic to try and help as many people as we can keep their heads on straight, make a difference. The impact that made on their business, David, was profound.
Sure. Yeah.
Knowledge equals confidence. If you
For
know what
sure.
to say, you'll go help more clients. And no one, my friends, is better than David right now to help you understand the pressing questions of what your clients are going to have about the real estate market so you can be a voice of reason. So everybody answer those polling questions. I see a small amount. I mean, everybody's got to answer those. Someone just said the poll is gone and they're putting it into the comments. I'm not sure what that means, but I know the poll is up because I'm looking at it and people are still answering. So, all right, David.
Yes.
How's the market? Talk to us.
Let's talk about that. Listen, let me say this, Tom. We've talked to so many of our KCM members that have been affected in LA, and our hearts go out. And it's amazing what you're doing and what everybody's doing to help there. So, as a backdrop, let's talk about this market and take maybe, I think we have the next 15 or 20 minutes or so.
Yep, let's do 15 if we can.
And here's what I'll guarantee. And Tom, I'm going to do this. You and I have talked about it. I'm going to give everybody what forecasters we've covered the market.
Yes.
To say, here is what experts are saying about this year ahead. Okay. And give you everything. I'll promise this. You'll get off this call with all the great presenters and you will have the information to do exactly what you said, Tom. Have the knowledge so that you then have the power. Right? Awesome. That is key. That is key. I'll give you a little bit of a teaser too at the end. I grabbed a couple of things. You and Jimmy have worked so hard to get the message out about expired listings. We've seen some amazing things happen with us expired over the last, 9 days since the first of the year. But I've also got a couple of bits of new information about the opportunity that's at hand right now to create that momentum. So we'll do that. I'll share my slides and we'll get off to the races.
Thank you. Brandon, go ahead and just make it just David so he can run the show and everybody can see him perfectly clear. David, the floor is yours, my friend. Take it away.
Thank you. All right, let's hop in. Let's talk about this market. As always, I'm going to encourage you to grab your phone, take a picture of these. I'm going to give you all the slides. I'll show you how to get those here in just a minute. But this is what experts are saying about this market. Now, listen, right now, you're going to start to hear, and you're already seeing it. People think, well, I think this about the market. I think this, or I think it's going to be lower or higher. This is the chance for you to be the expert and put your opinion out there. I'll certainly give you what experts are saying, and I'll even give you my opinion. But here's the key. It's not worth any more than anybody on this call. You need to bring your relevant market opinion based upon these facts to the market that you serve. And I know you'll be better off doing that. So let me start here. I've got a quote, and then we'll hop into these projections and all of these forecasts for the year. But Bankrate Greg McBride said this. He said, most areas will still lean towards a seller's market due to limited inventory. However, those markets that have seen a surge in inventory will definitely be more of a buyer's market and will be susceptible to price decline. So what he's talking about here, the overwhelming majority of this country will be in a seller's market this year. And if you were to ask me, really, probably we're heading towards more in 2025, a little bit more of a balanced market, not a pure seller's market, not a buyer's market, but there are these outlier areas in this country, in Miami and Austin, Texas, and Boise, Idaho, and the ones that are out there that are not the predominance of this country that will be in a buyer's market. And if you're there, you already know that. I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but as you're giving your opinion, right, you're talking about majority of what I'm seeing right now, the majority of people in this call will be in a seller's market. Now, that's going to then affect price, right? And so what are experts saying about price? Well, we expect house price to continue to grow, although at a slower pace. Now, listen, that is a good thing. I would add the word in here, a healthy pace, right? We don't want the unhealthy pace of prices that we saw in the last couple of years. We want a more healthy pace and a healthy real estate market. And I believe that's what we will get. Our team has gone out, the KCM research team, it does such a phenomenal job and a lot of resources out there to gather what are our forecasts for the housing market in the coming year. Well, we've compiled a list of 21 organizations and individuals that forecast home prices nationally in this country over the next 12 months between here and December. And the average, you see it right there, about 3%, 2.9%. Now, historically, that is a very average and what I would say normal number, right? And that's what we want. If you even look at the home price expectation survey for the next 5 years, it ranges in that 3 to 3.5% range for home price appreciation. I don't see anybody talking about, we will, sort of blow the doors off in price appreciation, nor, this is critically important, nor do I see anyone saying that price is going to fall nationally. And I think everybody gets this, but here's the point, is you're giving your opinion on prices in your local market. It's important for people to understand that, because there's certainly still people in this economy with, everything that there are questions about going ahead, wondering what's going to happen with home prices, wondering, are they going to take a dive, wondering if, since they rose so quickly, are they going to fall? Now, I think prices, are going to be sort of pathed by mortgage rates. That's the other really important piece. And I'm going to cover prices, and I'm going to hit mortgage rates here in a minute. We'll cover transactions and even inventory. I'll give you all of that, of what the market is sort of showing us relative to these things. But if we think about mortgage rates for just a second, we have seen enormous volatility over the last several months. I looked at Mortgage News Daily this morning, 7.17 on the average 30-year fixed. And certainly we want to see mortgage rates come down. But I'll start here and give you what forecasts are. Zillow said this: given the volatility of mortgage rates over the past 2 years, it's impossible to predict where rates will land in 2025. Our best educated guess is that mortgage rates will be lower by the end of 2025 than they will be at the start of the year, with the possibility of volatility in between. There certainly will be volatility. There certainly will be ups and downs in mortgage rates. I always tell people, if you try to forecast or predict mortgage rates, there's about 50% chance you'll be wrong. That is a fact, and certainly we don't have a crystal ball. We don't know, but we can look at what people are saying and then kind of go, okay, where do we see the path? And I believe there's a very clear path forming. I saw a forecast the other day that they said rates will be somewhere between 5.5% and 7.5%. Well, yeah, of course they will, and I think you could say that for the future they will. But we can get that into a lot closer sort of range, and I'll show you that here in just a second. But if you start to look at the last couple of years where rates have been, this is a look at the last 2 years, beginning of 2022. The orange bar where they've actually been, and then what the Fannie Mae, MBA, and Wells Fargo forecast are, you begin to start to see what is the path forward. And I believe, I'll bring in some other forecasts here in just a minute, but I believe we see a range that starts to form around 6 to 6.5% by the end of the year. Now, depending on what you believe about policy and the incoming administration, what you believe about inflation, or maybe the job market, all of those things are going to affect mortgage rates going into next year. And there are plenty of people that are experts in this area, kind of going back to the quote that I read before, that say it's impossible to forecast exactly where mortgage rates are going to be. But I do think we can begin to start to read what's happening economically and say, okay, we see this path right now somewhere in the range of 6 to 6.5. If you were asked me, probably in the year on the lower end of that, in the low sixes. And listen, we get some good incoming data relative to inflation, or maybe even a jobs report that isn't so rosy, and we could be in a very different position with mortgage rates. Bankrate said this: waiting for lower rates is not guaranteed. Certainly over time, you will see prospective home buyers throw in the towel. And I think we've already seen that this past year. We've seen so many people say, we can't afford to buy right now. But as you start to see, movement in rates as we go throughout the year, I think you'll see folks that will enter the market and come back. If I take this even a little bit wider, and I'm going to give you a little bit of perspective over the last several decades and why this is important. But if you even go slightly wider, I think I can give you a little bit more validation on mortgage rates. And it's found right here. This is a look at 9 organizations that forecast rates and where we'll be by the end of the year. And again, where do you see the overwhelming majority of these? And again, I'm going to encourage you, grab a picture of these. You see that the overwhelming majority coming in somewhere between 6.5, 6.25, and we can very clearly go, okay, that's what experts are saying. Now, you may have your market opinion may differ. You may say, hey, I think we're going to be in a different situation, or I think we're going to be in a different perspective because of this. That's quite all right. Bring your market perspective to bear for the clients that you serve. Because I think you're going to see a lot of people right now say, well, I think this is going to happen in housing. I think this is going to happen in housing. The best question that I always think about in that is, why do you think that? What do you think that? What are you seeing? And you want to listen, you want to understand. Or even in your perspective, you want to understand that. You know, the old adage always, I think sometimes in our business is, well, you know, mortgage rates, even at 7%, they're not what they were in the 70s. We've all heard that. And many of us, many people on the call today lived through it, you know, of enormously high mortgage rates. Here's a look at them back in the 70s and 80s. And they're like, well, don't worry about that, because that's not where we're at. Well, I would bring a little bit different sort of position on that. We'll likely see rates this year, you know, landing in that range that I gave you. I kind of drew it in right here, 6% in, you know, low sixes, which will be for a good part of the year higher than what we've seen in the last 2 decades. That's important to understand. You know, I think many people that got in the business, you know, many people on this call, you know, got in the business in the last 20 years. Many people obviously bought a home in the last 20 years. It will be a higher rate environment than what they've seen. We have to be aware of that. I was on phone with a good friend of ours, Tom, Jimmy Burgess, talking about this. And one of the things that he said was so important. When dealing in this subject, using real numbers, using the enormous amount of equity that people have in their homes to lower the loan amount, to lower what that ultimate mortgage payment will be because of the higher rate environment, is going to be key. Lawrence Yun said this: mortgage rates have averaged above 6% for the past 24 months. Let that sink in for just a little bit. Buyers are no longer waiting or expecting mortgage rates to fall substantially. Furthermore, buyers are in a better position to negotiate as the market shifts away from a seller's market. No doubt, I think we saw that before, not a pure seller's market. I would say more of a balanced market. There certainly will be smaller markets around the country, less markets that will be a pure buyer's market. Mike Simonson, very interesting perspective. Let's shift the conversation to inventory. 2025 is poised to continue the trend of rising inventory across the country. We'll probably finish next year or this year with 15% more homes available than we have now. Okay. So we start to see this market forming, right? Price appreciation. We can see that. Mortgage rates, we start to see that. Okay. Now more inventory coming into the market. That's what Altos is saying. Realtor.com says 12%. So, okay, 12 to 15% are what we're seeing as far as forecasts for inventory growth in 2025. This is important for a couple of reasons. There will be more options for people that are buying. You know, I think as we're talking about people that are prospective buyers this year, hearing of the possibility of more inventory is exciting for them. It gets them more, you know, motivated to go out and look and kind of go, okay, what's going to come on the market? And that would be the question. What will come on the market? What will stay on the market this year? We talked about expired listings a lot. We did a webinar on that. Jimmy and Tom have done so much to provide great content around that. We've given you, as Keeping Current Matters, all the facts about expireds, but expect to see more inventory come on the market this coming year. And all of that, I believe, and certainly forecasters are pointing to this, that we will sell more homes in 2025 than we did in 2024. Now, I don't see anybody calling for us to blow the doors off, but about 10% more home sales this year than we saw last. And why is that? Well, I think there are a few things that are going to lead to that. One, more inventory. There'll be more options that will cause more people to consider purchasing. We'll see a little bit more, not tremendously more, but a little bit more affordable conditions this year as mortgage rates come down as we go throughout the year. And then I think as we start to see this market forming, and we start to see people that put off a decision over the last couple of years, that will then lead to more home sales. Now, this is, before you send me a question in or something like this is total home sales, new home sales combined with existing home sales, projected this year about 5.1 million home sales. Okay. So I want to kind of recap this. What do I believe? Snap a picture of this about this market. National price appreciation around 3%, maybe beat 3%, but certainly not less than that. Don't see that. Mortgage rates settle in somewhere between, we call it 6.5% and 6% by the end of the year. And my tendency would be somewhere in the middle of that, 6.25%, maybe a little bit lower. Inventory will grow by more than 10% in this next year. We'll sell more homes in 2025 than we did in 2024. I know everybody, you want these slides, you want to grab these. I want to give those to you. I popped it right in there. They're all in the trykcm.com/Tom Ferry, where they always are. You can grab those. Couple more slides, and then I'm going to turn it back over to Tom. But I guess my question for everybody as we're talking about this is what do you believe about the year ahead? What do you believe? If you even take the numbers right now, I just recorded a video on this, about 11,000 homes sell in this country every single day. If you break that down, it turns into about 8 homes a minute, right? So there's activity out in the market. There are people transacting. There are things happening. Tom posted the question, could this be your best year ever? There are reasons, going back to this right here, to be optimistic about this market, right? That doesn't mean that we don't, we're not ignoring challenges. We're not ignoring things happening out there. But there are things that we see that go, okay, I think homes are going to appreciate at a much more healthy pace. Mortgage rates seem to be on the path. The consensus is by the end of next year, the end of this year, they will be coming down. Inventory is going to grow. We're going to sell more homes. And that would be my perspective. One of the things that we started off this year talking about, ended last year talking about, was expired listings. And listen, I'm not going to cover that deeply, but Jimmy Mackin asked me a question. He said, David, do you know the time frames in when people relist? We didn't have it at the time, but we got it from RedX. Shout out to Curtis Finn and the team at RedX. They do a phenomenal job of pulling all this information. And I want to share that with you because I believe, Tom, we're sitting on the front end of this massive opportunity across the country in so many markets. And here's the window that starts to form. When I went back and got that information, the overall days to relist were 53. That's the average of 2024. Listing expires, withdrawn from the market, 53 days. When they relist with a different or new agent, the blue bar there, that's 80 days. When they relist with the same agents, 41. So as I'm talking to expired, snap a picture of this. If you want to beat the market, beat that. If you want to beat the market, be ahead of that. Now, listen, here's where it gets really interesting. This is new information that we pulled out of some of these questions. Average days to sell then once it's relisted. I talked about the probability of selling when you have a higher probability of selling in an expired listing when they select a new agent. And there are a lot of reasons for that, right? We know those. Having an honest conversation, talking about why the home didn't sell, price, whatever the case is, we know that. Now listen to this. The average days to sell once it's relisted with a new agent versus the same agent are dramatically different. 23 days is the average that a home sold in 2024 when it was relisted with a new agent, as compared to 46 with the same. So what we know is that happens faster. So I do believe there's opportunity. I do believe that will create momentum this year as we sort of take off here from the 9th of January. We progress forward, get this thing going. I am, Tom, so excited about just the chance to share this. Excited about this year ahead, and certainly will continue to bring all of this as we do things together. All the updates to these forecasts, we'll do this. But grab these slides. Tom, I'm going to turn it back over to you here in just a second. But if you want all these slides, go grab them, try kcm.com/Tom Ferry, and I'll kind of wrap it up there and bring you back up, Tom.
David, thank you so much. As always, again, I killed the chat because it's just too noisy out there. But Brandon, open it back up. And if you would, post for me the Realtor Rescue Plan for everybody in California. So, we have a lot more people that are joining us now. So, hey, everybody, if you just got on, I'm Tom Ferry. Thank you so much for being a part of this. We started this morning early by saying, just our hearts go out to everybody in Los Angeles who's been displaced, so many agents, so many clients, so many friends and family members. So I just put in there with Brandon the CAR difference / realtor care program. And publicly, I'm letting you know I'm donating $50,000 today. I was chatting, as I mentioned, with Phil, who's the CEO of the California Association of Realtors, just saying, hey, man, anything we can do to help? And he's like, yes, you can do a lot to help. So, hey, if you're watching right now, if you could donate $1 or $2 or $5 or 50,000, whatever makes sense for you. And if it doesn't make sense for you, no harm, no foul. But these are our fellow brothers and sisters that are struggling right now. So just know that that's where my heart is. All right. So let's transition. Let's bring in Janet Miller. So one of the things that I know, and you know it as well, is we've got our goals. We want to accelerate. We want to crush. We want to dominate. We want to have this year be our best year ever. But as I mentioned in my opening, talking about Janet, the thing that I struggle with is time. And it's not, I have so much time. It is, I find myself never having enough time to do all the things that I want to do. And you and I both know, and I know you're going to share a bunch of this stuff, is most of us don't have a time management problem. We might have a prioritization problem. We might be prioritizing the wrong stuff at the wrong time, not running the right plays like we know, get appointments, go on appointments, get signed contracts, and repeat. So Janet, spend the next, say, 12 minutes and talk to us about what are the things that you're having your best clients do to save more time. The floor is yours, my dear. Take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I'm going to share my screen because I have, let's just see when it's going to come up here. Share. Let's see if we get the right one. Give me a thumbs up. Can you see the screen? Okay. Well, the theme for this webinar, when we saw all the ads for it, was Kickstart Q1. And it was really interesting in the chat when you said, hey, what's your goal? What's your goal? People had no trouble articulating what they wanted to achieve. And I saw last year it was 500,000. This year I want to get to 1 million. I went from 24 to 48, whatever that number is. But my question as I saw listening to all that is, do your actions align with your goals? Because it's really easy to say, that's the number I'm going to get to. But does that show up in your calendar? Do the activities that you need to do show up in your calendar? And that's what we're going to talk about. Oh, and I'm having technical difficulties. Hold on here. There we go. Okay. I'm Janet Miller. I've been coaching with Tom for 8 years now. I've done over 14,000 coaching sessions, and I love helping agents operationalize the chaos in their business so that they feel that they have more time and more balance in their life. So, have you seen the commercial that Apple is running right now? Their campaign is called Quit Quitting. And what they remind us of is the second Friday in January is known as National Quitters Day. That is the day when 80% of people who made resolutions say, no, I'm not going to do that anymore. And so you think about, why did that happen? I don't think that they changed their mind. What I believe is that they didn't have a clear plan of how to do it. And so let's look at what they need to do. So what I saw in the chat and what's true on this Apple ad is you have the have. You know what your annual goals are. You know what your vision is. You know what you're working towards 1 year and 3 years. But if that's all that you have, January 10th is going to be National Quitters Day for you. The next level of success is you convert that to decisions and outcomes. We're in January. Here's where I want to get to by the end of March, which is the end of the first quarter, right? I know exactly what I want to accomplish, what the milestones are. That's my 90-day plan. But that's still not enough. What you have to do is you have to have a mindset of bullish execution. You need to take those goals and convert them to a pattern of, this is what I need to do every day, no matter what. This is what I need to do every week, no matter what. This is what I need to do every month, no matter what. Let's imagine it's March 31st, 2025, the end of the first quarter. There's going to be 3 distinct types of agents out there. Number one, the woman on the left, her calendar is blank. She is sad. She feels like she has no business. Why? Because she was not proactive in the first quarter of the year, going after and cultivating the business. Number two, the guy with all the post-it notes all over his face. Oh, he did a great job in the first quarter, making the phone calls, posting the content, all the activities that I needed to do. But the problem with him is he wasn't sticking to a schedule. So as the market picked up and as things got busier and busier, he went into a complete state of overwhelm. But then there's agent number 3, and this is the group that I want all of you to be in. This agent has built a time block schedule and follows it. And so not only is he achieving his business goals, but he has balance in his life, right? So here's the first agent. If she showed us her calendar, it would be blank. She is waiting for the phone to ring. That's not how you build a business. Her mindset is, I don't have anybody that needs to buy or sell. In fact, she's blaming the market for her lack of business. And then this second guy who's in a complete state of overwhelm, he was doing the work, but his problem is he reacts to every, got a minute? How many of you have had that happen to you? And as a result, he doesn't follow up. He has minimal repeat business. He's not creating content. He's not tracking. And not only that, he's neglecting his own self-care, and he's constantly canceling on his family and friends. But then there's this agent. This is the one who's using a time block schedule. Business is thriving, happy and healthy, time for family and friends, time for self-growth. In fact, he is in growth mode in all areas of his life. So let's walk through what is the framework for you to build your time block schedule. Now, some of you may be solo agents, some of you may be on a team, some of you may be single, some of you maybe have kids, some of you maybe have a large family. Everybody's demands are different, but you can still follow the framework and be consistent with your actions. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is you want to have the mindset and the commitment to audit your schedule every 90 days. If you haven't built out your schedule yet for Q1, I want you to get it done before the end of this weekend. And I also want you to make a commitment the last week of March to do the same thing for Q2. Now, why do we only do this for 90 days? Well, our personal commitments change, especially those of us with kids, their extracurricular activities change. The ebbs and the flows, the need of the business change. And the simple fact is sunrise and sunset, the amount of daylight we have, that can be dramatically different quarter to quarter. And as a result, that can impact when we do those activities. So you've made the commitment that you're going to write your schedule. Next thing you need to put in the schedule is, when are you not working? That's personal commitments, but that's also business commitments when you're out of the office. If you're heading to Elite Retreat in the next couple of weeks, get that in the calendar. If you have a Super Bowl party planned and you're not working, get that in the calendar. If you have a ski vacation, if you have spring break, Get that in first so there are no conflicts with your work. The other thing I want you to put in there is, when are you taking care of yourself? When are you doing your workouts? When are you spending time with family? When are you spending time with friends? That goes in the calendar next. Morning routine. This is an essential part of your day to clear your head, help you be focused, help you be productive, get cardio. You need it in your life. So you have to decide, what time am I going to start my work day? And then reverse engineer that and say, okay, when do I need to be out of bed in the morning and do my morning routine? That's your cardio. That's saying your affirmations, saying or writing your gratitude list. You're going to listen to a podcast. You're going to read a book because you're going to feed your brain. You're also going to read your quarterly plan. When our goals are up and visible and they are in front of us, we are more likely to take action on the right things. If that's not part of your routine yet, build that into your morning routine, to read your 90-day plan, to read your quarterly plan. And then the other thing you're going to do before you start your work day is you're going to visualize your day. Look at your schedule. What listing appointments are you going on? Visualize that success. What do you want to happen? Every meeting that you have, visualize the outcome. Next thing you're going to put in your calendar is your evening routine. You need to have lights out at the same time every night. I don't know about you, but I need to create much stronger discipline around an evening routine than a morning routine. I naturally just want to stay up late, but I have to force myself that it's lights out, right? At the same time every single night. So you need to get that in your calendar. Then what you also need to do is put a time block in 30 minutes before lights out that says, prepare for tomorrow. And what are you doing in that time block? It's everything you need to do to be on autopilot as soon as the alarm goes off in the morning, right? Maybe that means gym clothes laid out. Maybe that means dog leash at the back door. Maybe that means lunch is made, coffee in the grinder, whatever it is. You also need to debrief on your affirmations. Did you align with them? If one of your affirmations was, I am healthy, was that true today? Did you do what you needed to do to align with those affirmations? You also want to ask yourself the KISS questions. This is the perfect way to reinforce your good habits and break your bad habits. And so what the KISS questions are is, number one, what do I need to keep doing because it helped me get closer to my goals? What do I need to increase doing? Because if I did even more of that, I'd get to my goals. What do I need to stop doing? And what do I need to start doing? Keep, increase, stop, start, right? Debrief on your day by asking yourself those questions. You also want to do a meditation to clear your head. It'll help you go into a very deep sleep. And then finally, lights out consistently the same time. If you've noticed, everything I've asked you to put into your calendar up to now had nothing to do with business, right? We want to get those personal commitments in there first. Next, plan your week. You want to pick a 30-minute time block where you're going to plan out the next 7 days. I highly recommend doing it on Sunday or the very first thing Monday morning. And what you're going to do here is you're going to look at your goals versus your results for this 90-day cycle. You're going to set your targets for listing appointments and buyer consults in the next 7 days. How many are you going to do? You're going to confirm that your actions align with your lead sources. If you said you're going to generate 8 transactions from open houses this year, do you have open houses in your calendar? If you said you were going to generate 7 listings from expireds this year, do you have activities in your calendar to go after expireds? The actions need to align with your lead sources. You are also going to review your calendar for the next 2 weeks. Is there anything in your calendar that would disrupt your normal pattern of how you do things, you need to make an adjustment. And the other thing is you're going to read your 1-year plan. Okay, now let's talk about the workday. Get into the office at the same time every day. You have to track your performance. What happened yesterday? Who did you have a conversation with? Did you have a consultation? Did you sign any contracts? Did anybody go under contract? What happened? Make sure you are tracking that performance. Study the MLS. You need to know the market. You need to know the properties. You need to role play. You do your scripts. You do your hour of power. Have you noticed these first 4 tasks that I've assigned? Those are all for you, right? What you have to think about, or mornings are for myself, afternoons are for others. Mornings are for myself, afternoons are for others. So if you have a buyer that says, hey, can we go see this property at 10 a.m.? I want your initial response to be, I'm tied up in meetings till about 11:30, but I could definitely meet you after that. And yes, there's going to be the occasion when someone says, oh, the kids are in daycare, they get out at 1, I really want to see that property before I have to pick them up. No problem, I can shift some things around. But if you have the mindset that mornings are me time and you stay with that, you're going to dramatically increase your productivity. In terms of your team huddles and your admin work and meeting with your VA or your assistant, whoever it is, yes, that's the morning, but leave that till the end of the morning, right? That'll definitely help you. The afternoons, that's when you're going to do your activities outside of the office, right? You're going to meet for equity reviews, consultations, property tours, coffee meetings with your sphere or past clients, and you're going to be creating content to build your brand. So mornings in the office, mornings are me time, afternoons are for others. Then you also are going to need a time block for working on the business, right? Working in the business makes it go, but working on the business makes it grow. And so you're going to have a time block in your calendar every week to work on projects, to do your analysis, to do your monthly debrief, to plan your content for the next month, to do your P&L review, right? You have to have working on the business time. And what brings it all together and makes it really magical is when you color code it. Pick the colors that work for you. These are the colors that work for me. Health and happiness, I do blue. Family and friend time, I do pink. Working in the business, light green. On the business, dark green. And then flex time is gray. So as we wrap up, I want to ask you to remove 3 words from your vocabulary. Hope, should, try. Hope is not a strategy. Should is not a commitment, and try is not an outcome. I don't want to hear, oh, I hope I get that listing. I don't want to hear, oh, I really should make my phone calls. Oh, I'm going to try to get an open house. That is not going to get you into action. That is not going to give you the results that you need. But what you want to do instead, and this is your homework, I want you to go back to your business plan. I want you to think about the questions that Tom asked you about at the beginning that says, like, what are the most important results that you want in your business? That's the have column. Okay, get really clear on that. But I want you to take it to the next level to say, what's in my do column? What are the decisions and the outcomes I need by the end of March to get me there? And then finally, B is your bullish execution. What do I need to do every day, no matter what, every week, no matter what, every month, no matter what, to get there? But you make sure that it's in your calendar. So if Tom and I looked at your calendar, we could place our money on you and go, yep, they're going to get to their goals because I see the actions that they need in their calendar to get them their results. That's what you need to do. You visualize your future, you need to align your actions, and you need to document your journey.
That was awesome. I was just sitting here thinking about the 16-week challenge. If you joined us late, I said to you today until April 24th, your job is to get appointments, go on appointments, get signed contracts, repeat, repeat, repeat. And you've already laid out the plan now of their morning, their day, how they can operate and have the life that they want. So thank you so much. All right, we're going to transition now, staying with the same theme of what are we going to do for the next 16 weeks? I've got the Jimmy Mackin, co-founder of Listing Leads, and a guy who you may not see it always in his emotional state, but someone that cares deeply about helping you get way more listings. So let's bring Jimmy in. There he is. Also one of the more handsome people in all of real estate. Ladies and gentlemen, Jimmy, we are running a few minutes behind, so you don't need an introduction. The floor is yours, my friend. Help them get more listings. Help them crush this 16-week challenge. Go. Hey, Jimmy, you have no volume. You have no volume. You look good, but you have no volume. Have you hit the mute button, Jimmy? In case people are wondering if this is a live show. All right, well, while Jimmy is trying to figure out what's going on with his volume, and Jimmy, sometimes you just have to like turn it off and come back in. That could be another way.
Okay.
I know I've got Hector and Brandon. Look, we hear you now? All right, so cool. All right, we figured out what it was. Yes, okay, yes, exactly. Brandon's like, go remind them of the Realtor Relief Fund. Yes, thank you very much for putting it up there. Actually, while we're doing that, let's go back to just this insight. Write this down in your notes while we're waiting for Jimmy just to jump back in here. Is information enough, right? You're gonna get all these killer ideas. And I wanna just remind you, information is extremely valuable. But if information was enough, there would be no obese people on the planet. If information was enough, there would be no alcoholics or drug addicts because we would just simply hand them the information and they would read it, they would listen, and they would understand, and they would suddenly just break free of the vices of alcohol or all these other challenges. Yeah. What we know is information is not enough. It's about action. At the very end, I'm going to talk to you about how do you get yourself into a state of inspired action all the time so you actually fulfill on what it is you say you want to do. So make sure you are properly scheduled. We are running a couple minutes behind. I'll only spend a couple minutes on it, but I would argue at the very end, the most important thing I'm going to tell you is how do you stay in the right action? How do I do it? And how can you do it too? Jimmy, exactly. I can hear you. Turn your volume up. The floor is yours. In an inspired way, buddy, help them get more listings. Let's go.
Thank you, sir. So one of the things that's, I think the mindset going into this year has got to be around the energy and enthusiasm and excitement around how this quarter is probably going to be the best quarter we've had over the last 3 years. And the mindset that I want you to have as someone who helps a lot of agents get a lot of listings is I want you to have this next deal mindset. And what I mean by that is that I want you to stop counting your last commission check and start chasing your next one. And so as Janet, I think, echoed and articulated perfectly, the mornings are for you. And the mornings, in my opinion, are for marketing and getting more appointments. So on that note, let me go ahead and share my screen. And I'm going to walk you through how I think about marketing and some of the strategies and tactics you can use to get your next listing. So for those of you who don't know, my name is Jimmy Mackin. You can follow me on Instagram at Jimmy Mackin, where I share advice and guidance on how to grow your business. Today, we're going to talk about developing the perfect marketing plan. I'll walk through what I would include if I was in your position, if I was trying to grow my business. Many of you have big goals this year. Many of you want to double or triple your business. How are you going to do that? You got to have the right plan. And then what I'll end today's session with is I'll share with you, because you all know, for those of you who follow me, you know I'm obsessed with marketing. I'm going to share with you what's working right now. What are the 4 to 5 strategies you can implement in your business today to start making that phone ring? Now, before we dive into it, let's talk about this basic idea that if you've got a plan, you're going to get results. If you have the right plan, you're going to get great results. One of my favorite creators to follow is a guy by the name Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast is arguably the biggest creator in the world right now, hundreds of millions of followers. He's actually built an incredible business. I think his business is going to do this year just shy about $1 billion in revenue. I mean, this is truly a remarkable entrepreneur. And he has this great line that I love. And it really, I think, informs the way we should think about marketing, which is creativity saves money. And so if you're in a position right now where you don't have a big database, you don't have a big budget, you haven't been selling real estate for 35 years, you don't have a huge SOI, you have got to be creative to get customers. You can't just run the same old playbook every other agent's running. And especially if your goals are bigger than they were last year and you have aspirations to reach a new milestone, you can't be doing the same boring social media post, just listed, just sold. You can't be, making the same types of phone calls. You gotta be creative. Creativity saves money. Creativity drives revenue for your business. Now, as a quick pro tip, as a professional marketer and as someone who has helped thousands of agents generate billions of dollars in business just in the last 12 months, I obsess over finding inspiration outside of real estate. So you can take a screenshot of this page. These are some of the examples, the sites that I use to get inspired to create a text message, an email campaign, an Instagram post. Some of my favorite resources that I check daily because I want my members to be different. I want my clients that we work with to get results, and they've got to stand out in a crowded market. So today, let's walk through what I think are the most important, essential parts of a great marketing plan. Again, if you've got a plan, you're going to get results. And you want to probably take a screenshot of this. This is what your marketing calendar should look like at the minimum. Okay, you can add to this. You can expand on this. You can certainly tweak this however you want to tweak this. But this is what I would want you doing on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis. So daily, this is about being social, posting a story, posting on Instagram, posting on Facebook, certainly being active in the comments, sending out 40 to 50 text messages per day. And again, I use the word text messages broadly. It could be DMs. It could be, in theory, commenting on other people's posts, but just that one-to-one communication. And of course, hitting the phones. Listen, I'm a marketer. I love marketing. I love marketing because marketing drives revenue, but don't fall into the trap of not hitting the phones and making your calls, because marketing oftentimes gets you to the red zone. It's sales that actually puts points on the board. So on a daily basis, I want you active on social. I want you DMing. I want you texting. I want you calling. On a weekly basis, I want you sending out emails. I want you shooting videos. And I want you getting people to raise their hands through direct response marketing. And I'm going to walk through examples of each one of these tactics as we go forward again. Again, if you have a great plan, you're going to get results. And lastly, on a monthly basis, we want direct response. We want to ask people directly, hey, are you looking to make a move? Hey, would you like to know how much your home is worth? Hey, would you consider a cash offer if it was really competitive? And then we should also be using some type of farming campaign. And so this, again, if I'm your chief marketing officer, and my job is to 3x your business, this is what my marketing calendar looks like. Now, here's the thing. Most agents I talk to, most agents who we have a chance to work with at Listing Leads, they either fall into one or two buckets. Number one, they have a plan, but they're not satisfied with the results that they're getting. Or they have, number two, no plan at all. And so to fix that, I'm going to get super specific. I'm going to share with you exactly what's working right now so you can get in action. And as Tom and Janet and David have all been talking about, take advantage of this market and achieve your goals. So let's start with text messaging. Now, most agents are going to likely follow up with a lead 1 or 2 times. Talked about this. I think Janet used the word January 10th is quitting day, which is, that's National Quitting Day, which is wild. I think like more than 2 or 3 follow-ups is like where most agents fall. But we all know, for all of us who are professionals who study the market, know that multiple attempts is what drives revenue in this business. So when it comes to following up, I think you can do that not only through phone calls, but you can also do that through text messages. So let me give you an example of a text message that is absolutely crushing right now. And this is the bad timing text. And I promise you, if you make a list of 20 or 30 of the people within your SOI you want to reach out to and send this message, you're going to get some appointments on the back of this. I know this is probably the wrong time, but I have a lot of buyers who are very serious about making a move in the next 90 days. Would you be open to the idea of selling if you got a great offer? And what this does is the sort of psychological trigger behind this campaign is we put the objection that they have in their mind at the very beginning of the message. So we acknowledge that, hey, this is probably the beginning of the year. You got a lot going on right now. You have your New Year's resolutions. You're getting the kids back in school. There's a lot of things happening. It's probably the worst time. But just out of curiosity, would you consider or be open to the idea of selling if you got a great offer? And so this is the bad timing text. Send this to 20, 25 people. You're going to start getting appointments. As Janet said earlier, the mornings are about me. I want you focusing on that next deal. Let me give you another example of one. This is one that Tom shared with me a while back that I love. This is the sort of financial advisor text. And what I like to do when I'm prospecting and I'm helping our members prospect is I like to use recent events, things that are happening. And more specifically, I like to use psychological triggers like the herd mentality. So I just wanted to reach out because we're only a couple days into January and I'm already seeing a spike in client activity. What real estate plans do you have that you think I should know about? And the beauty of this question is that we're not asking them, do they want to sell their house? Do they want to refinance? Are they looking to make a move? We're opening the door up so we can be of service to that individual. Maybe they're looking to make an improvement to the property and we can connect them with a contractor. Maybe they're looking to buy an investment property. So this is an opportunity to have a conversation with your customers, with your SOI. You can also use this with your prospects. Doesn't have to be just a client. It can be cold outreach to your prospects. So those are just two quick examples of direct messages, text messages, DMs that you can be using right now to set more appointments. Let's keep building on this. Zillow recently released a survey to consumers. And in the survey, they asked a bunch of questions about consumer behavior. Hey, who are you looking for in an agent? How long have you been thinking about selling? And there's one stat that stood out to me. I'm going to share the email here in a second. The one stat that stood out to me that blew me away, which is look at the top left-hand part of my screen. 2/3 of sellers said they thought about renting before listing their house. Now think about that for a second. If every single marketing message that we put out there is, hey, do you want to know how much your home is worth? Hey, do you want to have a cash offer? Hey, are you thinking to sell? We're not actually addressing the thought or the concern that the consumer has at this particular moment. When 2 out of 3 sellers are thinking about renting because they have a 3% interest rate, we should probably address that in our marketing. So here's an example of a marketing campaign right now that is crushing for our members at Listing Leads, which is the rent versus sell email. Super simple. If you're debating on whether or not to rent your property or sell it, a professional rent versus sell analysis can help. This report breaks down A, B, it factors in the local market trends. Would you like me to prepare a customized rent versus a sell analysis for your home? Again, 2 out of every 3 sellers think about renting their home out. If we can be the ones offering this, we can get our foot in the door, have a conversation, turn that into an appointment, and get a listing. And just a quick pro tip, Jeremy Davis is coming up a little bit later from Palm Agent. They have a killer, hopefully Jeremy shares this, they have a killer rent versus sell analysis calculator in their product. So if you've never done this before, Jeremy can certainly hook you up with that. All right, so let's keep talking about email. Again, if you have a great marketing plan, you're going to have great results. A great marketing plan includes texting. A great marketing plan includes email. Let's talk about another email marketing campaign. Calm, the Calm app. This was widely regarded as the best ad. And you guys are all going to remember this, by the way. I know you're all remember this. This was regarded as the best ad of 2024. And it was during election night when obviously there was peak hysteria on all sides. And it was, with the counting votes and all that. Calm, the meditation app, ran a 30-second commercial spot across every single major network that said, we are going to provide you 30 seconds of silence. And that was it. 30 seconds of silence. No talking heads, no maps, no zooming and pinching, no counting votes, just 30 seconds of silence. After they released this ad, their app jumped 100 spots on the App Store, and they were already ranked in the top 500. This is the crazy part people don't know about. This ad they ran in 2024. You know what they also did? They ran it in 2020. And when they ran it in 2020, they got 9 million downloads. So this is the lesson that we should take from Calm, is that when a marketing campaign works, something we've done in the past that generates results, we should go back to it again. It's not always about what's new and next, it's about what's past and proven. And so this is an example of a past and proven campaign you can send. This is what we call the $100 million email. I mean, if you want to get listing appointments today, if you want people reaching out to you today who are thinking about making a move, send this email. How much equity did you gain in 2024? I'm setting aside a few hours to put together a report for my clients. These reports are more comprehensive and accurate than the online tools. Can I send one for your home? This is the $100 million email. Like the Calm ad that worked in 2020, that worked in 2024, we send this every year in January to fill our pipeline up of prospective sellers. Now, let me give you one quick pro tip before we move on. Our friends over at Fellow gave us a data. 1 out of every 5 home value leads transacts within 12 months. So part of what we're doing here is getting people to say, hey, I want to know my home's worth. And we know that statistically speaking, 1 in 5 of them are going to make a move within the next 12 months. All right, let's keep building. We can't talk about marketing without talking about social media. This is a list. Take a picture of this. This is a list of all of the new creators I'm following. People in real estate who are doing incredible work across social media, getting hundreds of thousands of views of their profiles, growing their channels. I mean, these aren't the Ryan Serhants of the world who have 6 million followers. These are people who have 3,000 followers who had maybe 100 a year ago, or have 10,000 followers and had 2,000 a year ago. They're producing a ton of hyper-local, interesting content. You heard Tom say this earlier, the knowledge broker is who wins in this market. So these creators I've been following amongst a lot more, but these ones are really standing out to me. So let me give you some examples of what I'm seeing that's working really well. Because again, a great marketing plan has got to include a social media strategy. Social media is a cheat code for real estate agents. So here's an example of a campaign, and you might not be able to hear the audio on this, but this is called, you will be able to hear the audio on this. This is called I call it the caption reel, which is, it's a short video that plays on the loop, and I'll pause it real quick, and you'll notice there's a hook. The first thing I notice when I walk into a new construction home, and it points to the caption. And you can see this video has, I believe, over 700,000 views. It's a B-roll of her walking into a house, which your videographer has plenty of, and it's a simple caption that educates the consumer. And so I'm following this trend really closely. I call it the caption reel. I think if you're trying to grow your following and you don't want to get in front of the camera 24/7 to shoot a long video, the caption reel is really driving a lot of engagement. You get more engagement, you get more followers, you have more opportunity to get customers. Let me give you another example of this as well. I'll come back here for a second. This is what I call—
Stop making this mistake.
Real quick. This is the expired marketing Instagram reel. And I'm going to keep it on mute so you can hear, so you can just watch it right now. But what I love about this post is Tyler is creating an Instagram reel that is talking about and sharing why homes in his market don't sell and how you can fix it. Tom, David, and I, and a few others jumped on a call at the end of last year. Carolyn Young jumped on the call, and we said there's a $400 million jump ball in commission in January. So you can send letters, you can make phone calls, but you should also be posting content like this. The beauty of an ad like this on Instagram is you can produce it and share it, but then you also can advertise that throughout the entire year, put a budget behind that to reach more people. And let me give you one last one as an example here. And this one I love. So this is by Austin Clark. This is an Instagram reel that talks about how he helped his buyer get a home $200,000 below the original ask price. Now, the reason I'm calling this out is because if I were to survey the top agents across the country, I would say 95% of them put most of their effort and energy into promoting a listing when it hits the market, coming soon, just listed, open house. And only a tiny percentage of them promote their solds with the same level of effort and intensity. And so my advice to you, if you want to get listings, you got to show the sweat. Tell the story behind how you're selling these houses, buy side or sell side for that matter. And by doing so, you demonstrate to the consumer that you're great at your job, you're different than other agents, and you can help them achieve their goals. So Austin Clark put this video out. I think it has right now around 44,000 views of a just sold. So when you hear Tom say, hey, no more just listed and just sold postcards, he also means no more just listed, just sold videos on social media. Let's turn the volume up on these things. So again, a great plan generates great results. Every plan has got to have texting. It's got to have email. It's got to have video. It's got to have social. And the last thing I'm going to share with you today, which I think is really mission critical, and this to me is if you follow me on social media or if you listen to Tom and I talk about this or even David talk about this, expired marketing is coming back in waves right now. I mean, this is such a massive opportunity. So it's January 9th right now. And since the beginning of the year, I've already tracked, we've helped our members generate well over 100 listings in just a few days, leveraging expired strategy. Now, the reason why this is working so well right now is because over the last few years, I think the agents who traditionally relied on expireds had to pivot and move to something else because that sort of lead pillar began to kind of diminish. But now it's back. In the last 18 months, it's up over 150%. So if I'm an agent right now who's listening and I want to get results from my marketing, I have to have a great plan. That plan should include text messaging. It should include phone calls. It should include emails. It should include social media. It should include videos. But you'd be crazy if you did not include expired marketing. And let me give you one last example of this, which is, this is the expired marketing blueprint we created for listing leads. This letter is the first letter that our members are sending. And so what's so inspiring by this letter is that our members, they're making their phone calls and people are hanging up the phone. They're reaching out and people aren't getting back to them. And then they send this letter and guess what? Their phone rings. And the reason this letter is so effective is because it uses empathy and it describes the situation they're experiencing and it offers a specific solution to their problem. So now that your home didn't sell, you've had a wave of agents promising you they can get the deal done. You've heard the story before, but you're not buying it. At this point, you're frustrated, disappointed, and likely pretty annoyed because your phone hasn't stopped ringing over the last 2 weeks. And so without going into the full letter, what you could see here, the beauty of a campaign like this is really simple, is that it puts us in a position where we are showing empathy in our marketing. We're communicating their problems. We're also describing, hey, we know what you're going through and we can help solve that. So if I'm an agent right now who's listening and I have big aspirations, big goals to grow my business, I have got to get my marketing plan dialed in. It's got to have texting. It's got to have emails. It's got to have social, and it better have expired. I mean, it is the biggest lead pillar right now of 25 that you should be adding if you didn't have it last year. Let me leave you with this before I pass the mic back to Tom. If you need help with a plan and you're watching right now and you say, Jimmy, I love everything you've covered, but I don't even know where to start. I don't even know what to create. That's what we do at Listing Leads. We create a marketing plan for our members that gets them listing appointments. Everyone is a quick thank you for being a part of today's kickoff call. Every single person on today's call is going to get a 7-day free trial to Listing Leads. All you have to do is hit that QR code. I'll also drop a link here in just a moment in the chat for you. And when you get logged into Listing Leads, please go to the expired marketing blueprint, download it. We have now, I think, 7 letters, 25 different social media campaigns, all the call scripts. It's all right there for you. Everything you need to get results today. So Tom, as we end here, my friend, a great plan generates great results. Hopefully this was helpful to everyone who was a part of today's session. We want to get people in massive action early and start getting some listings, my friend.
Much. Hey, open up the chat just for a second. Open up the chat just for a second, if you would. And I don't know if you guys have been paying attention. I've been trying to turn the chat off to keep us focused. What do you guys think about what Jimmy just shared? Just give me some feedback in the comments. In the comments. Yeah, wow. Oh my goodness. Yes. Yeah. Look, I cannot stress enough, 7-day free trial is a no-brainer. You need to do that. It's funny, Jimmy, like when I share people, here's a 7-day free trial, I literally say to them, I don't care if you go on there and you download everything and you kill it after a day. I don't care. We want you to get more listings. We want you to get more listings. Like, that's the point. All right. So kill the chat. Actually, let's do the poll one more time because we actually made up a little time. So we had a little polling issue earlier. Will you all take a second, please? We're going to relaunch the poll and just answer these 3 questions for me, if you would, please. We have a lot of people out there. We're just going to wait just a second. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. And by the way, my phone has been blowing up. Thank you for a bunch of you that are saying you're also making donations to the Realtor Relief Foundation. And I know there's a lot of different ways that we can all contribute, but just, blessings to all of you. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Man, it is crazy, just the amount of people I'm talking to on the phone. Just a lot of people want to talk about all the problems and who's to blame. Save that for later. That's my advice. Save that for later. Right now, let's focus on helping people. Like that's the game today. And I know, people get politically charged and my response is like, hey, plenty of time for that later. Let's focus on helping people. Like, that's what matters most, in my opinion. I'll leave it at that. All right, so we got almost halfway. That is outstanding. All right, so if you were blown away by Jimmy, again, going back to get appointments, go on appointments, get signed contracts, repeat. My next presenter, Coach Christy, she's been traveling with me on the road at a bunch of our events. And all I'm going to say to you is this. If you are like so many people I'm watching in all these events, people are looking for a refresh. They're looking for an edge. They're looking to elevate. They want to improve, Christy, what it is they're doing on appointments to get more yeses, because you and I both know you're an active agent. I mean, you see this lovely gal. She's got 8 children, a husband, a thriving business. She coaches like 35 of the most extraordinary people on the planet for us. She is a time management lunatic, but I gave her this challenge. I said, I want you to go broadly across all of your best people, and I want you to basically dissect what are the things that they're doing that are causing them to win the listings. So you, as Jimmy helps you get the appointments, Janet keeps you organized with your schedule, Christy's going to make sure that you win. So I'm going to leave the poll open, but Christy, the floor is yours, my dear. Take it away.
Let's rock and roll. Okay, guys. Time management. Yes, we're going to keep everybody on time. My name's Christy Jenks, and my job is to help you show up with a competitive advantage and value. You can follow me on Instagram at Christy Jenks. Now, people have spoken. According to the 1,000-watt poll, the most important thing that you can do in your listing presentation and on appointments is to make sure that people know, like, and trust you. The hardest thing that they found when selling their home was finding an agent that they liked and they trusted. So we're going to pull out these magic moments that happen in the listing appointment, and we're going to figure out how you guys can speak to a seller's heart, connect with their mind. And at the end of the day, they care about the money and they want to get their home sold and they want to do it at a great price. So speaking to the heart, you guys, we have to learn how to build rapport, create trust, and make it fun and easy for them. When I say speak to the mind, we're talking about competency, reducing stress, saving them time, saving them energy. And of course, results matter. They want to know how you negotiate. In fact, that was one of the things that they hated the most, was having to go back and forth with the buyer. So you better make sure you have an incredible guarantee. Now, because we've got 10 minutes, we're only going to cover one, and it's rapport. Okay, I just gave you 4 seconds image of a man. In the chat, and the chat should be open, I want to know, what'd you think about him? Did you like him? Tell me in the chat if you liked the picture of that person that I just showed you. Yes, okay. Now I want to know, how did that picture make you feel? I like the dog. Yes. How did it make you guys feel? Fun, happy, warm? Yes. What kind of person do you think he is? Think he's a good person? A happy person? A nice person? Joyful, positive? 100%. What stood out to you? All of the things that you guys are saying are exactly what I'm talking about. Meet Austin. Austin is one of our incredible reps here at Tom Ferry. And if you ever get a chance to go to an event, you will meet him. And this is him. Now, why did I take the time to share this with you? Because we make snap decisions. If you've ever read the book Blink by Malcolm Gladwell, what we all just did, right? Happy, enjoys his family, enjoys his dogs. He's so sweet, right? If you've ever read this book, what we did was make a snap judgment. Guess what, you guys? Your clients are doing this with you, right? They're looking at your body language. They're looking at cues. I gave you 4 seconds of that picture of Austin. First impressions matter. They absolutely matter. So I want you to smile and be warm. Some of you need to remind your face that you're excited to be in real estate, okay? Smile, be warm. Don't forget that people love to hear their own name. You want to build rapport? Know your client's name. Address them by their name. Remember details. If you're coming to the Elite Retreat, I'm going to be talking about the fact that this should be in your CRM. You should know these details. You should know their dog's name. You should know if they have a dog. Now, part of first impressions is being on time. Respect your clients, right? If you're on time, you're late. If you're early, you're on time. Plan on there being traffic. Plan on there being the 405 locked up or wherever it is that you serve. Be punctual. Work on your body language. When is the last time that you role played in front of a mirror and saw the crazy things that you guys are doing? Our coach, Tom and I, we have a coach, her name's Terry Shodine, and she talks about some of the crazy things people do when they're presenting. Film yourself. Figure out what that looks like. And of course, you have to be organized. You have to show up with an actual presentation and don't wing it. I know we're going to talk more about that. So these magic moments inside the listing appointment where you can build rapport. I'm pulling out just a couple. We're going to talk about the pre-appointment interview. We're going to talk about the walkthrough. We're going to talk about the importance of storytelling and case studies. Jimmy just said, show the sweat. You need to do that. And then we're going to highlight how you can personalize the marketing plan and blow it out of the water. And of course, none of this works if we don't have communication, transparency, and honesty. So let's jump into the pre-appointment interview. What should we be covering? Our best clients do it in one of 2 ways. They're either doing an in-depth phone interview or they're doing a 2-step listing appointment. Stephanie Younger shared this at the Success Summit, how she does a 2-step listing appointment where she previews the home and then they do the listing appointment in 2 steps. So the in-depth interview, what we're really looking for, you guys, is we need to know their motivation. We need to know their time. We need to know their goals, right? But this is also where you're testing their market knowledge. We don't want to bring up objections that they don't have. So we need to test their market knowledge. We need to also get the details about the property so we can start to work on our comps. In addition to that, we are starting to look at who am I dealing with? Who am I communicating with? We're looking at their personality profile, their communication preferences. These are all things that I'm already starting to figure out just while I'm on the phone with them. You also want to figure out how you're going to market this home. So here's a couple questions that you should be asking when you are pre-qualifying for the appointment. Do all of this so that you can be their agent before you're even their agent. Trust me, it'll work. Now, here's where it gets new. And I'm super curious if anybody is doing this. I've been working with my coaching clients and in my own personal business and you're going to want to screenshot this. So I'm going to put it up right now. To take the transcripts of my calls when I'm setting the appointment. Because how many of you guys set appointments in your car? Heck, I had to set a listing appointment in my closet because my kids were off of break and they were out there running amok and I didn't want them to hear that. So we're not always in front of our desk making calls, right? Sometimes we're out in the field. When that happens, I love having the transcript. And here's the thing, most of your CRMs will do this for you. So as long as you are making your calls inside your CRM, it'll record it. And if not, Your iPhone will record it with the latest iOS 18 update. So you can message me if you want more information on that. But here's what I'm doing. I'm taking that transcript and I'm uploading it to my AI, and I'm asking it to pull out things. The last time that I did this, you guys, it was so fascinating to me. It said, you need to talk to the wife. And I was like, come again? What? Tell me more about that. My favorite AI. And it pulled in the transcript where the husband had mentioned 3 times the wife. And so I said, what can you infer by this? And it said, she's the one making the decision. Oh, snap, man. I set the appointment with the husband. I didn't have her email address and I didn't have her phone number, but you can guarantee I got it because now that AI is watching my back because I wasn't at my desk. Think of the ability to be able to actively listen to our clients and not worry about note taking. That's one of the benefits of having my calls recorded. But in addition to that, I'm actually going to take all of my communication, my text messages, my emails, everything, you guys, and I'm going to load it into the AI. And this is the prompt that I'm going to use to help me know what kind of personality am I dealing with? Is this an analytical person? Are they detail oriented? Are they results driven? The language patterns that they use. Tell me their communication preferences. Do they want direct, efficient, or do they want informal and friendly? Are they detailed or high level? I'm also looking for those emotional and motivational cues. I will never go into another appointment without running my calls through the AI to make sure that I'm not missing anything. This is huge, right? Because it's also going to give me recommendations. In fact, many times when it spits back, it says, this is a great text message that you could send based on what your client said. Boom, boom, boom. This is easy peasy for you guys to do, and you will level up. So let's move on to the tour. This is one of the no-brainer places of where you're going to build rapport. You're walking around their house, you're asking them questions, you're noticing that they golf, you're noticing, all these things about their grandkids, their furry friends, right? So during the tour, again, be early. Exude positivity, smile, right? We're on. You're on stage, perform, right? Greet the children, greet the furry friends, make sure everybody's greeted. And then genuinely find something to love and compliment them. One of the quickest ways to induce rapport is to give a compliment, but it's got to be sincere, right? Next, as you're touring the home, all the greats take notes. They listen to the way that the client is discussing their sunroom and how they've loved it and they bought this house because of the view and this, that, and the other. Again, I'm going to use that in my marketing. I want to hear also if there's anything negative that I should be aware of. Where you sit to do the presentation also matters. Stephanie Younger shared that she doesn't like to sit across the table. She wants to sit side by side at the table with them. I love that, right? Where do you sit? And when you sit, are you slouching? Are you watching your body language? Did you remind your face to smile? We talked about storytelling, finding common connection. You're going to have several examples of how when they work with you and when they partner with you, you're their partner. You'll make the bed. If they ran out of the house and you had a last minute showing, I know everybody on this call has had to do something for a listing last minute when they weren't planning on it. And then you should think about leaving something of value behind. As I interview hundreds of agents, many of them induce reciprocity by leaving something of value. We talked about show the sweat. Our great client, Melissa Pilon in Los Angeles, California, she does a great job talking about how she uses her company's concierge service, but she doesn't just say it. She tells the story. Here's how I turned $55,000 into $172,000. Beyond showing the work, let's go over to Warwick, Rhode Island, where the Slocum Home Team is personalizing the marketing. They don't show up with a pre-printed plan of what it looks like to market a home. They actually sit down and write it out. Can you imagine looking at this and seeing 39 Bluebird Lane and all of the incredible things that they're going to do to sell your home? Does that feel personalized? 100% it does. The last way that we would induce rapport is through our guarantees. And I love what Joan Pratt is doing. She has all these incredible guarantees that she actually puts in the contract. One of my favorite ones is if she doesn't return your phone call within 24 hours, she'll give you $100. And if you can catch her in a wild promise, she'll donate $500 to your favorite charity. She stands behind her word, and that creates trust. So our quick pro tips for building rapport. By the way, I have a full guide on this that I'm going to give you if you just DM me on Instagram, and I'll show you what that looks like. Building rapport takes active listening. Active listening can be done when you don't have to worry about taking notes, and then you review it with your AI. Rapport takes personal connection. Prioritize it, you guys. There are lots of agents out there. I want them to connect with you. Anchor back to value. Everything comes back to your expertise in marketing and the value that you're going to bring. And then, of course, provide valuable resources, things that they can actually use. So if you want my total guide on rapport, and if you want to know about the mind and the wallet, you definitely got to come see Tom and I at one of our events, because this is 10 minutes of a 30-minute presentation. But if you want all of the resources, the prompts, everything, I've already given the slides to your team, Tom. They have them. But you can DM me Kickstart on Instagram, and I'll give you my full guide to building rapport and winning the listing.
All right, Christy, thank you so much. Outstanding. Now you can go back to, coaching your 35 people, your 8 children, and your 9th child, your amazing husband, who I adore. All right. So we're going to keep moving forward, everybody. I want to remind everybody, we're about to bring up Emily Terrell. Emily is going to talk to you about, again, some time-saving hacks using AI. Before she does, I'm going to share with you, there was an interesting research piece published in November of this year. Consider the following, my friend, that they asked 50 doctors to do basically, hey, diagnose these patients. And what we want to do is we want to measure accuracy of your ability to diagnose the patient. So 50 doctors, 50 doctors, all 20 plus years in the industry. And if you read this report, in case you're wondering, Stanford University, UVA, and Harvard are the ones that did this report. Now, here's what they discovered. And you can go and bring in Coach Emily. What they discovered was, number one, doctors, 20 years in their profession, God bless doctors, right? We love them all. They averaged 72% effectiveness of diagnostics. So if I brought my child in, they were right 72% of the time. They were wrong 28% of the time. Then they studied doctors that used AI, and guess what? Those doctors were right 76% of the time. So a nice improvement, but the doctors all said the same thing. We were able to do it 6 times faster. So they improved, but they got faster. But the more fascinating part of the research was AI on its own diagnosed the patients at 92% accuracy. Now, the question that many in my mastermind group we are talking about is, how many years from now will it take before doctors that don't use AI, it would be literally considered malpractice? Think about that. Many people say 3 to 5 years, that it'll just be mandatory, that no doctor can keep up with 2,000 reports that are published every single day on breast cancer, as an example. But by using AI, they can instantly have access and be more effective for the people that they're serving. Now, the question I'm asking everybody, and the reason why I asked Coach Emily to talk to you today is, at what point will it be deemed malpractice for a real estate professional to not negotiate with using AI, to not help their clients without using AI? Now, I don't think we'll have malpractice, but what you will see is a massive separation from good to extraordinary. And that's why I've got Coach Emily here. Now, remember at the very end, because I've got Coach Emily, I've got the incredible Jeremy Davis, the extraordinary Shannon Gillette on Instagram, and then I'm going to talk to you about the 3 things you're going to do to maintain this 16-week challenge and stay in inspired action. So stick with me. And now, the amazing Coach Emily. Emily, take it away.
Hello, everybody. Thanks so much, Tom, for that introduction. I love that. That is like an amazing piece of advice. I've been sharing it with my coaching clients, and it's went through a lot of breakthroughs. So let's talk about who I am. I am Coach Emily Terrell. Now, I don't have a ton of time, so if you have questions, because you will, don't put them in the chat. I don't have time to answer them there. Go to my Instagram, just scan the QR code. It's going to take you right there. I'll get to all of your answers to be able to go through this. So let's really get quickly into it, because we've got a lot of information to cover in a really short amount of time. So in saying that, have you ever thought about all of the listings that you missed? You go to the appointment, you spend all the money, the time, the effort, you get the appointment, and then you lose it, right? They want to interview someone else. They don't choose you. Well, what if I showed you 3 steps to use AI so that you're not losing that listing appointment anymore? And I love it because what Christy talked about, if you're paying attention, you're going to see it come into play here. So let's get right into it. And you can combine a lot of what Christy said into the tips that I'm giving. So I asked Perplexity, which is another AI tool, the top 9 reasons why you lose listing appointments. Now, as you can see, we've got poor communication, over-promising, you're being too pushy, you've got a lack of local knowledge, you're part-time, you gave a dual agency proposal, you gave limited experience, you're unfamiliar with business sales, and you just have inadequate marketing strategies, right? Now, how many of you guys have actually seen one of these happen? Or these are one of the reasons why you didn't get a listing, or you just don't know because you hit multiple of these, right? Well, the good news is crazy enough, AI can actually solve all of these. And I'm going to show you how, because I want you to actually be able to use it, and I want you to use it with ease, right? So let's get through the first part, right? What about these? Poor communication, over-promising, maybe you're too pushy, or you proposed dual agency, or in Texas, it's called intermediary, and the seller was immediately turned off. Well, what AI tool can we use in order to stop that? And that goes back to kind of how I used to do real estate, right? Before, when I needed to practice scripts or I needed a role play, what did I do? I called someone in my office, or I called someone, I messaged someone within the TF ecosystem, right? And I started a role play with them. The problem is that over time, they maybe stopped showing up, or they became unmotivated, or you became so used to them that it wasn't really a surprise anymore. You're going through the same routines. So instead of that, what tool could we use in order to role play, but without having to rely on another person? And that's super simple, right? ChatGPT, AI, right? So as you can see, here's my home screen. And yes, I fully understand I've got 51,295 unread emails. Sorry about that. It goes into a junk email. But in saying that, right on my home screen is ChatGPT, right? It's one of my most used apps. That and Instagram, they're next to each other. So I have ChatGPT right there on my home screen. And what's amazing about it, if you have ChatGPT Pro, you've got this option right here. You've got this button on ChatGPT. And what that is it basically allows you to have a phone call with ChatGPT. And so it allows you to create this phone call in this role play session. So imagine you're heading to the listing, you're nervous, you're unsure, you're not really sure how Chrissy said to build that rapport. So you want to role play. You want to work on overcoming these objections, these 9 objections before you get there. So what can you do, right? Let's create a script. So I'm going to give you a script and I'm going to kind of break down how you can put this script together, how you can start this role play option. So a tips for role playing, I would start with something like this. I will be meeting with the seller shortly, and I would like to role play before I go. This couple is selling their home at 123 Main Street in San Antonio, Texas. I've never met this couple before, and have been primarily communicating with the husband. He seems friendly and has been responsive. The house was previously listed for sale, and the contract expired. Please role play and start the process for when I walk through the door. Please role play with some difficulty and include at least 3 objections for working with me. Now, for anybody putting in the chat, are you going to get the slides? The answer is yes, but I'm going to break this down because you can't use this every single time, right? But let me break it down what each part means so you understand. So the first part, I'll be meeting with the seller shortly and I'd like to role play before I go. Most of the time people role play in their car on the way there. I would not say I'm driving to the appointment. ChatGPT will kind of freaks out a little bit. So let's avoid saying what we're driving. I just like to say I'll be meeting with them shortly and I'd like to role play before I go. The next part, I've never met this couple before and have been primarily communicating with the husband. He seems friendly and has been responsive. Now, here's my question. Do you remember how Chrissy just said, upload your calls, upload all of that information into ChatGPT, get information on your clients, on the sellers, on, just get information about them? Do you think that this would be a part where you could say, check out the attached document that has all the information about my clients' personalities and all the communication we've had here so that it could role play better? Absolutely, right? Or do you think you could have a list of some of maybe their traits and put it in here if you're driving? Absolutely, right? You could tailor this part so that ChatGPT can take on the personality of the client you're driving to see. Next, we're going to tell the ChatGPT where this listing came from. The house was previously listed for sale and the contract expired. That's important because let's say, for example, it's someone that you're going to see that's a sphere of influence or a past client. That's different. That role playing is going to be different. So identifying the type of client that you're going to meet with is important. And then last but not least, giving instructions. Please role play with me and start the process for when I walk in the door. Giving it instructions, telling it how hard you want it to be and how much you want to go, how in depth you want to go is really important. Now, if you are in the Tom Ferry ecosystem, you guys have seen Tom.ai. We've got a great role play section in there. And the great thing is it actually will grade you at the end. Do you think you could ask ChatGPT to grade you at the end? Absolutely. Do you think you could ask it to give you examples of how you could do better? Absolutely, right? So make sure we're learning from it as we're role playing. And it's something you could also do every day to get better instead of just on the way to the appointment. Okay, so that's tip number one, right? Role playing with ChatGPT so you can get better when you're heading to the appointments. So you're not oversharing, right? So you don't have that poor communication where you're not asking enough questions. So you don't seem like you're being too pushy or over promising. And then when you do bring up dual agency or intermediary, you can actually bring it up and talk about it in a way that the client understands, that it's not splitting your focus. Now, the next tip is going to talk about your lack of local knowledge or your limited experience, right? This happens. Sometimes we don't know the area enough, and sometimes we just never sold a house there, and that's okay. But what we want to do is we want to be prepared. So Christy mentioned that you were going to hear about being prepared for an appointment. This is it. Now, back when I used to list houses all the time, like I coach a little bit more now, but when I used to go to appointments, I thought I was good, right? I thought I was prepared. I showed up with like this, right? These are graphs. They show my average days on market in my market or the average price per square foot, maybe the average sales price. I thought it was informative. I thought I had all this information. And then I stepped it up one more and I came in and maybe I drilled down to the zip code or the neighborhood. And I thought I was on point, right? I thought I was so knowledgeable when I walked in, but in reality, I wasn't. Right. So I'm not sure if you guys have heard Tom before, but Tom, at a lot of his conferences before AI came, he would tell us to go to your local university, take all of the sales the past year or for the past entire time of your database for your MLS and find someone that's maybe getting a master's or somebody that deals with statistics, right? Statistical analysis, somebody maybe getting their PhD and have them go through and give you information so that you can be armed with that knowledge. The great news is Tom doesn't have to say that anymore, right? Because now he can just say, do it in ChatGPT, right? Do it with AI. So this is how you do it. You take your sales data. Now, what's important is I want to point out Texas is a non-disclosure state, meaning the street number. I'm going to take before I put it into ChatGPT, I'm going to take out that street number so that I'm not disclosing to everybody. So I'm going to take out that street number, but then I'm going to take that data and I'm going to load it right there into ChatGPT. And then from there, and this is really important, you're just going to ask questions, right? You're going to have a conversation with AI. Now, the question is, what questions do you ask? Because I'm going to tell you, coming up with questions to ask is difficult. What I don't want to do is say, hey, what's the average days on market? I don't want to say, how many houses are for sale here? I can look that up. I have access to that. What we want are some of those more hard-hitting questions, right? Like, for example, have you ever walked into a listing appointment and said, hey, seller, here is the absorption rate for your neighborhood. Here's what that means. And you have a simple way in which you can explain that to your sellers, right? Have you ever walked in and be able to say that? Or have you ever walked in and said, hey, these are the characteristics that make up potential buyers looking for homes in this area or in this neighborhood? Because I don't know about you guys, but a lot of times, because, again, I'm in Texas, I have sellers that ask me, they say, hey, we know that everybody's moving from California to come here. Are you going to advertise to them? And I can come back and say, well, actually, this is what makes up the buyers that are coming to this neighborhood. Here is the information. Here's where I got that from, right? What advice would you give sellers who are looking to sell in the next 60 days, right? All of this information is jaw-dropping. When you walk in and you're able to give them more information than just what everybody else is, you seem like you have done every bit of research you can on this neighborhood. Now, let's say it's an expired listing, because we could go and get more specific, right? Do you think you could get expired questions? Absolutely, right? How does the average days on market for expired and relisted properties compare to those that sold without expiring? My favorite is there a pattern in the pricing strategy of successfully relisted properties compared to their initial listing? So imagine, because Jimmy talked about expireds, which I am all on board with doing expireds. I don't know about you guys, but my MLS on January 1st had 2004 new expireds. 2,004 potential listings for me, right? So if you think my team was calling them, absolutely they were. But going in and saying, hey, Mr. Seller, here's the pattern. Here's what other successful relisted properties did in your neighborhood, right? Being able to go armed with that specific and tailored information is extremely important. So make sure we're tailoring all of these questions so that we can analyze and get jaw-dropping moments. Now, I know you guys are thinking, how did she come up with all those questions? I used AI. I said, hey, I'm going to go to a listing appointment. I want to analyze some data. I don't know what questions I need to ask you so I can have really great answers. Give me 5 questions. Give me 10 questions. Give me some questions that are tailored toward expireds. And it came up with these questions, and I couldn't have done it better on my own, right? I use AI to just help with this strategy. Now, we've got this, right? Now, here's the cool thing about it is you have a lack of knowledge. If you come in and you're so knowledgeable and you have all the information, do you think that the sellers are going to be like, oh, she's knowledgeable, but she sold anything? No, they're just going to be so impressed with what you've done. They are not going to care that you've not sold a specific house in that neighborhood, right? They're going to overlook and not ask you if you sold something here because you're so knowledgeable. It doesn't even seem like it. So now let's look at anybody that's unfamiliar with business sales or they have an inadequate market strategy. And I'll never forget the very first time I went to a listing appointment and I was so excited. I sat down and he said, what's your marketing strategy? And I said, well, I'm going to get professional pictures. And he said, and I was like, what do you mean and he goes, well, sure, of course you are. Everybody does. So what? And of course, not everybody did, but to him, I realized I didn't have a marketing strategy, right? So in ChatGPT, I'm sure you guys have realized that ChatGPT has threads, right? It's that one window you go in. So in that same thread that you just analyze all your data, right? Because at this point, ChatGPT is aware of what's going on in that neighborhood. You're going to ask some questions, right? You're going to go and say, hey, based on the information that I've already provided you, act as a marketing expert and help me create a marketing strategy for this listing in this neighborhood. It's going to give you a marketing strategy. And they're going to say, great. Can you please provide a timeline with implementing this marketing strategy? Hey, fun fact, you notice that I misspelled implementing? It doesn't matter. ChatGPT will fix it for you. But what does it give me? And it gives me the most amazing thing ever, right? It gives me a day by day of exactly what I need to do in order to make my listing the best that it can. So now I can take this information, put it in a Canva, make it pretty, and walk in and have a plan, a daily plan of exactly what I need to do for every single listing, specifically tailored to that neighborhood. Right? I'm not having to guess. I'm not having to make stuff up. I have my plan exactly as it is. Now, this plan is a lot longer, but obviously I couldn't put it all on here for you guys. So in saying that, right? So we went over all these 9 reasons, but if you paid attention, I actually only went over 8. So the last one is part-time. Now, unfortunately, I cannot fix if you're part-time or not part-time. I can't fix that. However, do you think that if you came in and you had great communication, you didn't overpromise anything, you weren't pushy, you had amazing blown out of the water local knowledge, you explained intermediary or dual agency perfectly, your experience didn't matter because they think you have a lot because you're so knowledgeable, had a great marketing plan, you're familiar with business, do you think they're even going to ask you if you're part-time or full-time? No, because you are so prepared that doesn't even cross their mind that you may be a part-time agent. So in saying all of that, I hope you guys learned a ton. I know I went through stuff at lightning speed, but if you do have questions, go to my Instagram. It's just Coach Emily Terrell, and I'll be sure to answer and go through anything in detail that you do need so that you can win and kick butt with AI for your listing presentations.
Emily, you rock. That was awesome. All right, everybody. So we're going to keep moving. Emily, thank you so much. Let's bring in my buddy, Jeremy Davis. About, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago, I finally got connected with the guy that basically has created the single most popular free, F-R-E-E, real estate app on the planet. Just in the comments really fast, do you have any variation of the Palm Agent app? Yes or no? Any variation of the Palm Agent app? It could be Chicago Agent, it could be Fidelity Agent, it could be Alamo Agent. There's a lot of different variations. But I want to see it in the comments. Do you already have this app? And if you don't, the good news is, Jeremy, they can all get it for free, correct? They can get it for free if they just go to the App Store, right?
F-R-E-E, free.
All right, everybody's favorite 4-letter price. All right, so Jeremy, we got 5 minutes. You're going to talk to him about 2 things. First, the single most important of the, 500 calculators, but also the one thing that everybody As the market heats up, we'll deal with more and more, which is how do I make sure that I am properly positioned to get the fee that I want, whatever that fee is you decide, with buyers, and handle the biggest objection, which is, Jeremy, I think we're just gonna wait and then we'll buy. So if you guys wanna know how to handle that, Jeremy Davis is the man. So Jeremy, the floor is yours, my friend. Take it away.
Thank you, Tom. Thanks for inviting us, and thanks for everybody for showing up today. Mike, if you wouldn't mind putting a QR code up, snap this if you don't have Palm Agent yet. If you get it from your local title company, but if you don't have it, we want everyone to have it. And if there's not a local title sponsor in your area, it will prompt you to kind of recommend your favorite. But that's how we monetize this. I grew up with parents in the early 80s who were both brokers. I've been in a real estate family my whole life. We've made this free for all of you because we get sponsors to contribute, not because we're a charity. But I've spent my entire career working on the math side of real estate. And to the two calculators that Tom asked me to tackle today are really interesting. And they're two of the best ones we've created in our 20 years of existence. The first one he mentioned is an odd one because it's back to the buyer agent compensation. It's become a less popular topic because we're kind of over it. It's happened. However, as I've been discussing with Tom and working with some of his coaches, I don't know that it's even taken effect yet. And what I mean is the market's been so slow that everyone's offering it. We haven't hit a lot of landmines yet, but if we do, I want to make sure all of us, the Tom Ferry community, is prepared. And we developed a calculator that I think is actually really important for those situations when you run into a seller that's not offering it. If you run into someone that reads the contract, I sign every contract. As soon as DocuSign came out, I haven't read a line in a contract, I don't think, but my wife's not that way. She's a dentist and she reads everything. And if someone reads the contract and then we're just getting them to sign it, but they read it and they go, wait a second, if they're not offering this, I've got to pay $20,000. Wait a second. You know, I want us to be able to say, has anyone told you about the 5 different ways that can be funded? Has anyone told you about the 5 different ways that can be funded? And then the third is, if we see rates come down in the market heating up, I think we're going to see more sellers saying, you know what, I don't know that I need to offer this, or I'm not going to offer it out of the gate. We're going to negotiate it. And I want us to have answers for all 3 of those situations. So Mike, I'm going to pull up the calculator real quick. This is Palm Agent. And again, we're trying to take real estate math and make it easy for us to explain it to our buyers and sellers. And this first one I'm going to show is the newest calculator we've created called the compensation calculator up here at the top. And I just want to walk you through exactly how it works. All you do is you plug in a price. So let's just say we're shopping for $525,000 houses, and then you hit compute. We've tried to make this as simple as we possibly can. And what we've done is we've gone in and built in local taxes, local title fees, escrow fees, closing cost, and given you the total full estimated payment. This says $4,655. And then this is the scenario where they're not offering compensation. Scenario 1, they're not offering it, and we're asking them to pay the fee at closing. So this is what the total closing cost. I put 10% down in there just for time's sake. I jumped through a few things, and I put a 3% fee, which is my compensation. So I built all that in. This would be total payment, total closing cost. Now there's option 2. Now I'm going to negotiate really hard, and I've had success on all of my clients so far getting this paid by the seller. But if I hit next option at the bottom, it pops up and says, this is how that would look. This is what your payment would be. It'd be the same. Now your closing costs are going to be less because we're getting the seller to fund that. So this shows you option 1, option 2. Most of us are familiar with those, but at least our buyers get to see something. And now the third option is the one I'm most excited about, because what we say is, obviously assuming the house will appraise, you know, what if we roll this into a full price offer and ask for it in the form of a concession? You know, that's another option. Now people want to know, well, how does that impact me? Well, how that will impact you is obviously your payment's going to be a little more. In this scenario, your payment's about $150 more a month. To me, this is the game changer. This is the one where we are at least able to show an alternative where someone's not feeling like, if they don't pay this, I'm stuck paying you 20 grand or 15 grand. I don't like that scenario, because what happens if they don't and we don't have the extra closing costs? This at least opens their mind to saying there's other ways to do this. And if we built it into an offer and backed it back into a payment, we're talking about $150 a month, worst case scenario. And obviously, depending on how long you're wanting to live in the house, this might be a better alternative. And then the fourth and fifth option, up at the very top where it says 50%, if I come over, it says, what about a combination of those two? That's kind of how we've come up with the fourth and the fifth, which is they're willing to meet us halfway and pay half of it, and we're going to fund half of it at closing as a buyer. And then what if they pay half of it and we roll the other half into an offer? So this right here, I think everyone needs. It's free. Have this on your phone. And even if it's not something you're going to use tomorrow, this is the first calculator that I think we've created where I think it's so powerful, but I'm not sure we need it tomorrow. You know, it may be in a month. It may be in 2 months when someone reads the contract and goes, whoa, wait a second. This to me is the smoothest thing I've seen for handling those objections and just asking the question, well, has anyone explained to you the 5 different ways this fee can be funded? And to me, that's the secret. This is the program. It lets the computer tell them and not you. And I haven't seen anything better. If there is something better, email us and tell us and we'll build it in here too. But this is really cool. Now, the second one Tom wanted me to show everyone, just because I think it's so timely to this market, is this one, buy now or buy later. This is the hottest calculator we have in Palm Agent now, besides the buyers and sellers net sheet. That's the stake. This is the hottest new calculator, the buy now or buy later. So I just want to walk you through this so that all of us have seen this. It's easy enough that this is your training class. All you do is plug in a house price. Tom, I joke that I've sold 6 homes and I'm not a practicing agent. My next door neighbor lives next door to me because of this calculator, because everyone's kind of thinking what's going to happen with rates. What's going to happen with rates? I'm going to wait for rates to come down. I'm not sure what's going to happen with the market. You know, they were delaying because of the election. Now the election's over. Now they're coming up with new excuses. You know, the rates just aren't right where I wanted them to be. And so all this does is plug in a house price. It quickly shows you estimated payment, estimated closing costs for your local market. But this is where the program gets interesting. I'm going to swipe over one screen, and I want to talk about appreciation, because everyone's talking about rates, but we have to get honest about appreciation. And appreciation is baked into our economy, by the way. There's a reason prices have gone up for the last 100 years. Overall, our money's worth less every year. They keep printing more money, and house prices go up over time. And so what do you think is going to happen over the next 12 months? And this lets you say, what about the next 3 years? So 3 years of appreciation at just 3.5%. When I first showed Tom this calculator, we were on a Zoom together, just the two of us, and he stood up and applauded me. And he said, buyers need to see this number. They need to see what they're on the risk for. 582. I want to pay 5.25 for this house. Let a little more appreciation work against us. 3% doesn't sound like that much. You know, David just earlier said we're calling for 3% this year, was his best guess. Almost no one's calling for house prices to go down. So what is it going to cost to have a little appreciation work against us for a few years? And again, this is a calculator. Play with it. You know, go depreciation if your client thinks the market's going to go down. We're not trying to manipulate them. However, we have built in some data here. Tom, as Alicia says, we got receipts. Here's what some of the top experts are saying about appreciation. And down at the bottom, we put this little stat that says the last 42 years, average U.S. appreciation has been 4.92%. 4.92% for the last 42 years. But I don't know what's going to happen. But let's look at what a couple years of waiting could look like for you. And then if you keep just swiping over and reading the story, it says this is probably a better alternative. You know, buying today and refining if rates go down versus waiting for prices to go up and getting that at a lower rate. So it shows you the estimated payment, total payment. It's going to be about $600 less if you wait 3 years and let the price come, you know, even if rates drop to 5.5 or 5 and you know, play with it. But most importantly, what is 3 years of missing appreciation going to cost you? You know, we're looking at more than double the equity over 3 years. And I've never shown these next two screens on a webinar. I think they're more for the analytical, but we're getting in a time where we have more analytical buyers. And the last two that we do, they're just kind of fun calculations, is if we don't think rates are coming down, what if we blended appreciation with interest rate? What if we said, you know, the $30,000 of appreciation we're missing out on, you know, how does that weigh into the 6.5% rate? So we give you what we call a depreciation adjusted rate. I don't even know how to do this. Give me a pen and paper and calculator without this. And the last one we call a break-even rate, which was what would rates have to come down to, down at the very bottom, to give you the exact same monthly payment. Because a lot of our buyers, you know, they don't live in the house price. They end up living in the house payment. We're so payment centric that this lets you show you what rates would have to fall to if prices work against them. So this is a fun calculator. I want to make sure everyone has it. Mike, if you put the QR code up again, that's two of the hundreds of calculators we have in here. But Tom, did that hit on the right button? Did that work?
And I think Lonnie, your father, and your God bless your mom deserve a giant thank you for, you know, your mom complaining to her husband, I don't know how to do all this math for real estate. And
she loved the industry. She hated the math. And unfortunately, there's no way around it. Like, no matter how much you hate math, it's a central part to buyers and sellers making decisions to move or to stay. And so we tried to just create some simple solutions that help you tell those stories and move people across the finish line.
I'm grateful for you guys. I appreciate it. It's the reason I promote it every chance I get. So, all right, we got one more presenter. Thank you, Jeremy. I love you, man. I'll see you soon. And listen, my friend, thank you for, I know this has been a lot. And I'm going to talk to you at the very end after Shannon Gillette talks about Instagram and how you're going to crush there, about the 3 most important things you can do to ensure your success. The thing that I have figured out a long time ago is how to remain in inspired action regardless of what's going on around me. And I'm going to show you the 3 things that I've done, and you can do the same. You don't have to do all 3. You'll pick 1 or 2 that are right for you. All right, I've been waiting all morning for this. Ladies and gentlemen, rock star from Queens Creek, Arizona, the Shannon Gillette. Shannon, the stage is yours. Take it away, my dear.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm just trying to share my screen here really fast, but maybe it's not going to share. Let's see. Can you see my screen? Oh, right.
Can't see the screen, but I can see you.
Okay, well, we'll just skip the slides. I am so excited to be here and share how I went from having 0 money, no leads, 3 young kids, one of which was a newborn, no idea how I was going to find any clients, to now leading one of the top real estate teams in Arizona. And it all comes down to the power of Instagram and video. And in 2014, I was working as a new home sales consultant, living the corporate lifestyle, didn't have days off with my husband, could barely make my son's t-ball games, and I would often drive to work crying. And I dreamed of becoming a successful real estate agent, but it felt so risky because I knew that 87% of real estate agents fail within the first 2 years. And when I left new home sales to become a real estate agent, I had no idea how I was going to make this all work. But around that time, I was following people on Instagram that weren't in real estate. And I learned that the people I enjoyed following were sharing their personal lives. They were small business owners sharing their kids, their dogs. And I felt like I knew them. I trusted them with whatever they were selling. And I never met them in person. I felt like they were friends. And in 2015, real estate agents weren't really doing this. Most real estate agents had 2 pages. They had a business page with just sold, just listed, and then maybe a private personal page. So I took this huge risky move and I decided to let people in on my daily life. And I committed to posting 5 stories a day, every day of the year. And it has helped. Our team sold over 200 homes last year. As I mentioned, I lead one of the top teams in Arizona. And I want to share 5 quick types of stories to post on your Instagram story, because I feel like not many people talk about the power of the story. A lot of people are talking about feed posts, reels, things like that. But starting with number 1, which is your daily routine. Sharing your daily routine, whether it's getting up early, taking a morning walk, speaking directly into the camera. Like if you follow Erica Wolf, she does this every morning on her morning walk, or working out like Katie Day brings you along to her workouts a lot. This helps build a personal brand that demonstrates discipline, consistency, a commitment to self-improvement. This approach not only attracts followers who align with your values, but it also shows that you're committed to your goals, right? So sharing like your morning smoothie, workout routine, you are almost brainwashing your followers every single day to think of you because they're seeing you all day long. They feel like they know you. The second type of Instagram story to post is behind the scenes at work. Whether you're at a team meeting, discussing the latest marketing trends, or putting out open house signs in 110-degree Arizona heat, or just hosting an open house, posting little clips of behind the scenes of you working shows your followers that you're committed to your job. At our team, we love our clients who actually host monthly client appreciation events. And when you're hosting events or serving your clients, you're just reminding your followers that you are a great real estate agent. And a lot of people say, well, what if I don't have any followers? I think it's really important to remember that everybody starts at 0 followers. I now have over 70,000 followers, but there was a day I had 10 followers. I was posting stories when only 20 people saw my stories. I was posting listing videos when only 100 people were watching. But we also can't say like, oh, only 100 people saw my story or only 100 people watched my video, I'm not going to post anymore. That's 100 people that saw your content. And if you do this consistently every day, they're going to think of you when it's time to buy or sell a home. So you have, number one, your morning routine or night routine, behind the scenes at work. You're also going to want to post on your Instagram story about your personal life. This is the hardest thing for real estate agents because I think real estate agents want to be for everyone, right? That's why we do the safe content, which is just sold, just listed. But posting about who you are besides your job is so important when building a personal brand, a brand that people can know, like, and trust. So writing down 3 to 4 things that make you, you besides your job and posting about those. And remembering that you're not going to be for everyone. For example, I may post that I'm at my son's, I have 3 kids, maybe I'm at my son's football game on a Saturday afternoon, and I may be worried because a lot of my sellers follow me on Instagram. Man, is this going to make me look weak that I'm not out working on a Saturday? Or what if I post that I'm at church on Sunday morning? Could that offend somebody? Like, I truly believe that if you post who you are, you're going to attract your tribe. For example, let's say you love cats and you post your cat, and that probably is going to offend somebody that doesn't like cats, right? But you're going to attract people that relate with you, the know, like, and trust. People are going to Instagram to escape reality. They're going there to almost watch TV. They don't want to be sold consistently. And another type of Instagram story that you want to post, I believe it is professional listing tours. For every home we list at our team, we produce a professional video commercial, no matter what the price point, because I believe there's no better way to market a home than through professional listing content. So if you're posting that, you're not just telling people that you're good at your job and good at marketing, you're showing your followers that you are committed to doing whatever it takes to get your home sold. So those are just a few types of Instagram stories that I think are so important to post. And in 2025, I hope everyone stops trying to just be super safe and being for everyone and really leaning into your personal brand, posting who you are besides your job. And if you post 5 stories a day, little clips of your life, I guarantee you will start to get calls, because I have inbound leads coming every single day. People asking me, will you list my home? Are you taking on new clients right now? I don't have to cold call, door knock, anything, buy leads. People just call me because I'm consistent with my Instagram content. And I would love to see all of you guys over on Instagram. Feel free to follow me if you have any questions, or if you're having any issues with, what to post, send me a DM. I'm happy to help.
Shannon, you rock. And I know, hey, Shannon, send me your slides, because in our wrap up, I'm going to send everybody all the slides. And I know, like, I've been there before. How do I get the slides to work? Where's the share button? But you always deliver, my dear, and you are so authentic. I think what you really said to everybody today is, be you. If you just be you, you know what happens? Your vibe attracts your tribe. Like, that's what it's all about. Like, Shannon is unapologetically Shannon Gillette. And you know what? There's a population in her marketplace that go, I like that. I get her. And you know what? You're exactly right. When you already have know, like, and trust, it makes the sales process easier. There's less resistance. I'm not saying she doesn't get objections. I'm not saying people don't ask her to reduce her fees or list property overpriced. She deals with all of that stuff. She's in the real estate business, but she's getting those inbounds because she's putting herself out there. So, Shannon, I love you. I appreciate you. Send me your slides. All right, final 7 minutes with me, and then we call it a wrap. So I want to reiterate a couple things, and then I'm going to share with you three things. I've actually wrote down a couple more that I want you to consider. For 35 years, I've been in this industry. I want to just reiterate again, I'm putting up 50 grand. I hope that you find it in your heart to do something for all the real estate professionals, specifically in Los Angeles right now. It is insane what's going on over there. It really, really is. Now, with all that said, I don't know, just sorry, my heart. Information is not enough. Like I said to you, you just got all this information. But as I said to you, like, listen, if information was enough, there'd be no alcoholics, and every real estate agent would sell 100 homes a year because you would just listen to the Tom Ferry show and go, yep, that's it. I'm just going to do the work every single day and make the phone calls, and I'm going to kill it. Information is not enough. It's information with inspired action. It's information with inspired action. And I know where the vast majority of people get stuck is they get stuck in their head and they're not in action. So I actually wrote down three things I know to be true, just like the beliefs that we spoke about earlier. What allowed Mel Fisher to go for 16 years going for dives to find the treasure? He had to believe that it was there. I asked you earlier, what was your income for 2024? What do you want to do in 2025? But I asked you, what is your potential for 2025? And I know you wrote down a bigger number because you know your potential is far greater than probably what you believe you could do in 2025. So I want to go back again and remind you, do you believe that the income is there? Do you believe that the clients are there? Do you believe that the opportunities are there? And if the answer is yes, check, check. The second belief you have to have is the belief that you're capable of doing it. Do you believe that you're capable of doing it? Do you believe that you are capable of doing it? And I hope, I pray that you are saying, of course I am. I know I can. But I know the things that stop you. We're going to discuss that in a minute. But the third one is the belief that, the funny way to describe it is that the juice will be worth the squeeze. That, like, I'm going to have to do the work. I'm going to have to do the work. I'm going to have to get appointments, go on appointments, get signed contracts, rinse and repeat, all the things we discussed today. Make phone calls, send texts, do Instagram Reels. It's whatever you decided your plan is, whatever is the most important leading indicator. But in like 5 minutes or less, I'm going to tell you my three things and my three things. What I know to be true, if you want to level up and really produce the kind of breakthrough results, the things that I've been able to accomplish in my life after getting kicked out of 4 high schools and both parents' houses, I wake up half the time and just pinch myself. But it's because I committed to 3 things. The first one is this: energy isn't a choice. Energy is a choice. I choose to show up energetically. I choose to show up. This morning, I'm in the gym at 6 o'clock in the morning doing squats with my son and his girlfriend and my trainer. And my shirt literally says, work harder, no one cares. And I say that to myself. It's a t-shirt I made just for me as a reminder of no one cares. Like, when I show up, could you imagine if I showed up in this webinar and was like, hey, I'd like to just thank you guys for being here. And it's going to be a really inspiring year. And no, you'd be like, what's going on? Like, you have an expectation of me. Well, guess what? The people in your life have an expectation of you. The question is it for you to show up and change the energy of the room? Is it for you to show up and be a yes for what's going on, to be a problem solver, to make it happen? You can make that shift. Read the book by my buddy Todd Herman. The book is so extraordinary. It's called The Alter Ego. It's where you can actually take 4 things, and become the kind of person you want to be by just creating this image, this person you say you want to be. Think of Beyonce. Beyonce was this gal from Texas who was a great singer, but afraid to get on stage and perform. Now, you couldn't even imagine that Beyonce was afraid to get on stage and perform, and yet, she used the same exact strategies in this book. And you know what it was? The alter ego. She created a character we all know Sasha Fierce. And Sasha Fierce, she would be that person when she was on stage and Beyonce off stage. Could you do the same to make your calls, to do the things you have to do? The answer is of course. You could just Google it or just go to, Instagram and say, Todd Herman, check it out. You don't even have to read the book. You can just study his work. Everything's available on YouTube. Number 2, I wrote down the following. State management is success creation. State management is success creation. Doesn't matter if I got a bad night's sleep. It doesn't matter if my wife was angry with me in the morning. It doesn't matter what's going on in the world. I choose to keep my shoulders back, put a smile on my face, and move forward powerfully. I deal with stuff all day long. I'm the CEO of multiple companies. I get punched in the face every single day, but I am not going to let that get in the way. I choose to move my body in a powerful way, and you know what I'm talking about, because you know when you're like, yeah, let's go, and you know when, but both of those are a choice. Energy is a choice. State management is a choice. It's choice. I choose to have my shoulders back, my chest up, a smile on my face, a let's go mindset. And guess what? I have days where I'm tired. I have days where I don't feel like doing it. And you know what I do half the time? I just go like this. Like if right now you were like in your office, please don't do it if you're driving, unless you're driving a Tesla. And literally I would just I'd be like, okay, I just got my ass kicked. I had 2 deals fall apart. My wife is pissed at me. And I would put my arms in the air and put a giant smile on my face, because if you're doing this right now, there is absolutely no way to be depressed or experience anxiety standing like this. There's no way to do it. And all of my team knows, because, if they see me walk out of my office, like a negotiation went the wrong way, or, somebody quit or something, something that would irritate they know, because I walk out like this, what's going on? They're like, oh shit, something bad happened to Tom, right? But see, I know I am not allowed to show up and do my work in anything other than an energetic, inspired state. That's my second one. But the third one is just a reminder. Sales is a transference of energy. Sales is a transference of energy. These are my 3 bonus. These aren't even the 3 things I know which are going to keep you in line. This is just to set you up. Sales is a transference of energy. If you understand, it's your enthusiasm about the house. It's your enthusiasm about taking the listing. It's your enthusiasm about the marketing plan. When you are energetic and you're presenting to people, and I don't mean you're like a complete spaz, know your audience. If they're super analytical, you're not gonna be like, hey, right? But you are gonna bring that level of energy, and I'm challenging you for the next 16 weeks. If Mel Fisher went for 16 years, today's the day. I think you can go for 16 weeks saying, state management, gonna bring the energy, and you know what? I'm just gonna be fired up all the time. Doesn't matter what's going on. I'm gonna be fired up all the time. All the time, all the time, all the time. And when it's time to go to sleep, go to sleep. You don't have to be fired up then. Does that make sense? But you're gonna bring it for the next 16 weeks. You're gonna challenge yourself, because you know, oftentimes the only degree of separation, 2 agents go on the appointment, they both show up, they both do good, they both have a great plan, they both have a track record. One brought more energy, one brought more enthusiasm, one was more likable, and that's who gets the listing. Think about it. Now, here's what I wrote down. If you want to stay in inspired action for the next 16 weeks, if you're willing to take on this challenge, what I know to be true is this. I wrote down the following. You must have guardrails. You've got to have guardrails. And I tell the story all the time of taking my sons bowling. We were in Park City, and my wife's like, you got the boys, go bowling. And you all have had this experience, right? Whether you've ever bowled or not, you can imagine, a 4 and 6-year-old, you get the shoes on them, you walk down, they take the ball, they throw it, bang, right in the gutter, bang, right in the gutter. And they both look at me like, ooh, bowling sucks, Dad. And I'm like, cool, glad I prepaid for 2 hours. This is going to be a miserable experience. And then I looked down the way, and you've all had this experience. There were these other ones with these lights going down. And I walked back over, hey guys, I'll be right back. I walked over to the guys, and I'm like, hey man, can I get one of those lanes? And he was like, yeah. He's like, I should have recommended it. Dad, take your kids down there. I go down there, and they've got these bumper rails on the side so the ball doesn't go into the gutter. And all of a sudden now, my kids are like, throw the ball, and it's like bing, 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 psh, and they knock down a couple, and they're like, Dad, this is awesome. I'm good at bowling. And the time went by fast, but most importantly, they produced the result. They produced the result because they put the guardrails up. Now, I believe there's 3 ways for you to put the guardrails up. The 2 are not so obvious. The last one should be totally obvious to you. If you say 2025 is going to be your best year ever, if you're absolutely committed to it, the first thing I would tell you should do is hire an assistant, or hire a second assistant, or hire a house assistant. And you might be going, what? You just told me I'm gonna have my best year ever, and that what I need to do is get an assistant? That person's gonna cost me $50,000, $60,000, $40,000, $80,000, $120,000, depending upon where I am in the country or in the world. And my response is 1,000% yes. Because hiring an assistant or a house manager or someone to support you and do the laundry and the cooking and the cleaning and all the stuff that you don't want to do so you can just be present with your family and sell a lot of real estate, you know what that is? It's guardrails. Because now you wake up in the morning, you're like, I have to pay for that person. I got to pay for that woman. I got to pay for that guy. And the good news is you don't have to write a check for $40,000 for the year up front or $120,000 for the year. You pay it every 2 weeks, or you pay it once a month, or however you pay it. But what am I really saying to you? You're putting up the guardrails. Because the moment, I remember when I started my company 22 years ago, I came home after saying to my wife I was going to go meet with my mentor. I came home with 11 employees and a lease for 3,000 square feet, $55,000 a month in expense with no revenue coming in. You know what that's called? I was forced to succeed. Now, I didn't tell you to like go buy a fancy car and go buy a really expensive piece of real estate. No, go buy someone that can leverage all the nonsense that you shouldn't be involved in so you can get appointments, go on appointments, get signed contracts, repeat, repeat, repeat. The moment you get an assistant, you now have guardrails up. The moment someone else is doing all that other stuff that you don't want to be a part of, you have guardrails up because you got to pay for it. That's number one. Crazy idea? Probably, but I know it works. Number two, here's what I wrote down. You ready? Make a big public commitment of a massive contribution, whatever massive means to you, a public contribution. I think of D. Martin, one of my clients. I challenged a couple gals. I said, I challenge you in the next 10 months, the next 10 months to list 100 houses. Neither one of these women had ever done it before. Sandy Payne, big shout out to you, and D. Martin, big shout out to you. And here's what D. Martin did. She went on Facebook and Instagram and told all the people that she knows, I made this crazy bet with this guy, Tom Ferry, that I couldn't list 100 properties, help 100 people that want to sell their home in the next 10 months. Would you help me? And I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to take his $10,000 and I'm going to match $10,000. So I've got $20,000 and I'm going to divide up $5,000 increments to 4 different charities. And I'm going to present based on what you all want to do to those charities. And guess what happened? She listed over 100 homes in 10 months because she rallied the people around her. Now you might be saying, Tom, you're talking about like, how do I have guardrails? Well, if you tell everybody what you're committed to, if you make that public declaration, not just here's my goals, but you think about like public declaration, I'm going to do something of service. I'm going to give to my church. I think of my client, Christina Martinez, who became the #1 agent in the world for Century 21 because she announced to her preacher, I'm going to buy the land next door and I'm going to build a YMCA and I'm going to donate it to the children through the church so people have a safe place to work. People are like, how'd you become the #1 agent on the planet for C21? That's how. That was how. She made this giant public declaration. Now, one option is, how do you put the guardrails up? And you know what I mean. If you want to get out of the poor, rich, poor, rich, poor, rich, poor, rich cycle, what we need is guardrails to keep us going rich, richer, 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 and get out of the poor, rich, I do the work, I do the work, I do the work, I make all the money, and then I stop and I become poor again. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Guardrails, the bumpers, right? Hiring an assistant, right? Doing something like that for you to get more time back so you can spend more time doing the things you know you're supposed to do. The second one is go make a public declaration. Go tell the world, like, this is what I'm committed to. This is what I'm committed to. Do something like, I said, I'm going to donate 50 grand, but I'm doing that because, hey, I want to help, right? If I would have said, hey, it's 50 grand and every time you do this, I'm going to match it by X and something crazy like that, maybe, but I have a lot of guardrails, right? I have several hundred employees and I've got all this around me. I have to stay in an inspired action every single day. So here's the third one. The third one is, I wrote this down. If I was in your corner, if myself or one of my coaches was calling you once a week and we were on Zoom and we were helping you keep the ball moving forward, helping you solve the problems, helping you get the right marketing, creating the right disciplines, keeping not just the next 16 weeks, but like the next several years, like someone like a Shannon Gillette, who literally was down on her luck. Like it was horrible when she was telling me the story. To today, she's sitting in my apartment in Dallas, paid for a very expensive mastermind, and her phone's just ringing left and right. Like that is what's possible. Go back to what you earned last year and what you know you want to do this year versus your possibility. I want to help you close the gap. So 2 things. If you know that having a coach in your corner, I know a lot of my coaching clients are there and you're like, yeah, baby, let's go. I can't wait to see you soon. If you know having a coach in your corner would make a massive difference, I'm going to do 2 things for you. When you call my office and say, okay, tell me what this bananas offer is, I'm going to do something so extraordinary to make it so easy for you, to make it such a no-brainer, starting with the fact that when you become one of my clients, I'm going to give you a 7x guarantee, which means you give me $1, you're going to make 7, or you get your money back. Like, let's just remove all the fear, right? To make it easy for you. Like, it's that guaranteed. And I have thousands of clients doing this every single day, and I would love for you to be one of them. The second thing I'm going to do is I created a program with Jimmy Mackin almost now 2 years ago called the 100K in 100 days. And I was talking to the president of the company, Mary Jett, and I said, look, everyone that wants to do this and all my clients, we just put 2,800 people through this. They did like $7.5 billion in sales in the 4th quarter of last year, when a lot of people, because of the elections in the US, were slowing down. They accelerated. You want to know why? Because they had their coach, obviously, guardrails, but then we put them in these small groups. And for over 100 days, they worked together in these small groups to send the right texts, send the right emails, to cheer each other on, to support each other. More guardrails, no additional cost, just another mechanism. Because my promise, my guarantee is you'll make an extra $100,000 or you get your money back. A new set of $100,000. So I created a 100K program where you do it in 100 days. Like, if you're looking for acceleration, my friends, you need to call my office. I'm going to give you the number, 1-800-624. Oh, thank you, Brandon. That was really good. 1-800-624-9. We should do this more often. 1-800-624-9575, and just say, what is the bananas offer, right? I've got lots of different programs. If you're a team, if you're an individual, if you're new, if you're super experienced, if you're luxury, I got you covered. But I want to just go back and remind you again, if information was enough, every agent would sell 100 homes a year, there'd be no alcoholics, and every marriage would end with someone passing away after 75 years of bliss. Information is not enough. Action is required. Information is not enough. Action is required. We would be honored in 2025 to be your guardrails and to keep you moving forward. All right. I am going to limit it to 30 people because that's the size of this group. So it's going to be first come, first serve. You got to decide, pick up the phone, call my office. I think it's like noon right now or close in where we are in Orange County. So between the Dallas team and the Orange County team, if the phone lines are busy, do your best. If nobody answers, it's because a lot of people are calling in. Be patient, just keep calling. All right, as I wrap, thank you for giving me the gift of your time. Thank you for being the kind of person that cares enough about yourself and your business to take these insights and put it into practice. 16 weeks, that's what I'm asking for, 16 weeks. Prove to yourself that you're the kind of person over the next 16 weeks that you can make it happen. Brandon, leave the number up there just in case, right? For the next 16 weeks, I want you to be inspired. I want you to be energetic. I want you to be moving forward. And I need you to like write on your bathroom mirror, my job, the pattern that works is get appointments, go on appointments, get signed contracts, repeat, and make that your mantra. Make that what you fall asleep to. Make that what you wake up to. And I know there is hundreds of other things that have to happen. I'm not a fool. I get it. But if you don't have that singular focus, you're not going to achieve the level of success that you could. Maybe, just maybe, 2025 being your best year ever isn't just about information. Maybe it's really about proving to yourself once and for all, that you got this. Mel Fisher went for 16 years. 16 years. 16 years. Today is the day. I know I have enough belief in you. I know the deals are available. I know you're capable. and I know it will be worth it. I know it'll be worth it. Will it be hard at times? Yes. Yes. But you know what? Ask any person who has achieved something of success and ask them, was it easy? What are they all going to say? No, it was hard. Was it difficult? Absolutely. Did you feel like quitting sometimes? 1000%. But I didn't quit. It's going to be hard, my friend. But you know what is also hard? Not having